Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5 The Zone. Welcome in on a Wednesday morning. Well, we got hoops tonight. The Utah Jazz will be back at it in the Summer League. They've got a game with the Wizards tonight coming up at 8 o'clock on ESPN. And it's interesting because, of course, the Wizards, like the Jazz, had a really bad year, had a really bad record. Like the Jazz, caught no break in the lottery. Slid. We're hoping that somehow, some way, they would get Ace Bailey, and the Jazz shut that, of course, down by taking Ace Bailey at number 5. So I don't know. Maybe that provides a little backdrop to tonight's game. PK and I were talking yesterday, and he was wondering why I enjoyed the Monday game so much, overtime game. You know, I think it just comes down basically to competition. And it was fun to watch the Jazz play a competitive game, even it was a Summer League game. But after most of a season where they were just trying to lose and not playing people, it was fun to watch guys go out there and battle and get excited and get pumped up and get fired up. Sports, competition. It doesn't really matter the level. You know, college basketball is a big notch below the NBA. But, man, look at BYU fans get excited. And if Alex Jensen gets the Utes going this year in year one, I mean, I think it's a good hire, and I think he'll get it going. Year one, I mean, this team's brand new. I don't know these guys. I don't know anything about them. But if he gets it going, I think the Huntsman Center is going to pick up steam quickly. And I think the fact that BYU's got it going is a big part of that equation. Chris Hill told me once that one of his friends who was at Ohio State and went to San Diego State, and I'd been here a while at this point, and Chris had obviously been AD at Utah for a while, and we had talked about why San Diego State just couldn't quite get it together. And he said, hey, this AD is going to be good. You're going to like what he's going to do. I may not like it, but you're going to like it. He's going to make him. And he had no impact. And I asked Chris about it later, and he said, I knew you were going to ask me that. So I asked him, and he said, never underestimate the power of a rival. When Ohio State doesn't have it going, and Michigan does, Ohio State, man, those fans, those boosters, we got to do it. Well, then you got to pay for it, and they do. And San Diego State doesn't have a natural rival like that. They've been in and out of the same league with Fresno, and they're separated by quite a bit of space, and it's not the same. It's not. They don't have anybody. So when you've got somebody, you got to relish it. And Utah and BYU have each other, and you drive each other nuts, but it really does help power what they're doing. And I think that really BYU football, BYU basketball, and Utah State basketball are the only ones who've really been giving us anything lately. Real Salt Lake did at the start of last season, but then in the middle of the year you sell your best player. I mean, that's just that's going to take the juice out of the fan base. I get why they did it. It's a lot of money. And I talked to Pablo Massoni about it, and I get it, you're talking about a player who wanted to go to Europe. He viewed this as a stepping stone. And his agent knew the offers were there, and he was never going to play at the same level for RSL again. Pablo was convinced of that. And that conversation happened because they asked Pablo, like, what's going on? He's not the same guy. And Pablo didn't really get into it. And then after he moved, he said, well, here's why. So to watch people who are in and are committed, I know it's just Summer League, and I know it can be fool's gold. Absolutely. I don't think if you fail in Summer League, if you really struggle, I don't think that is a lie. That really tells the truth about where your game is. But if you dominate, that's great. But the level of competition, man, you're gonna have to be better at a higher level in the fall, and maybe you will be. Maybe you won't. Jazz fans have to hope that this turns out the way D. Will and Andre Kirilenko did, because those are, and Donovan Mitchell too. But Mitchell was really good from his rookie year, and then immediately was good in his rookie year, and it surprised us all because we thought he was going to take time to acclimate, and he did, and it was just a few weeks. The other guys, they had the rookie year. They clearly had to make a big step forward, and, man, when they went back to Summer League that second time, it was different. And they were ready to compete in the NBA regular season the next year. Big time. They were ready. And hopefully that's what we're seeing right now with Filipowski. So I guess that's why I got all sorts of fired up. All right, we'll see if tonight's game can possibly match that. Seems unlikely, but hey, you never know. DJ and PK, the Zone will be broadcasting live from Mountain West Conference Media Days today and tomorrow. Our Media Day coverage is brought to you by Window World, nationally known, locally owned. Call Window World for free quotes on windows, doors, and siding today. Coming up, Scotty G is going to join us from the Mountain West Conference Media Days at 9 o'clock. Also, we have Brian Taylor on the Open Championship at 8 o'clock and a little tour of the NFL with camps getting ready to open. Peter Bukowski of Locked On Packers is going to talk NFC North with us, a division that was awesome a year ago. Detroit had it going. Minnesota had it going. Green Bay was pretty good. Chicago was, work in progress. Work in progress. There's hope, but it's a work in progress. We'll talk with him coming up at 7:30. So for you NFL fans, got a little NFL football today. We're going to take a break right now. When we come back, Bob Casper and Chris Karpman. Bob's coming up next, talk Open Championship, and then Chris Karpman on Arizona State and the high expectations for the Sun Devils in the Big 12. That's all straight ahead. Stay with us. DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. We are joined now by Bob Casper, Real Golf Radio co-host, the Open Championship this week. It's time for our draft. But before we get to that, Bob, a little bit about a links course that probably no one has played. There's probably a couple people roaming around Utah played it, but not very many. Don't know much about this place. What can you tell us?
Well, it's a great golf course. They've played one Open Championship probably in the last 60 or 70 years. Prior to the last one that Shane Lowry won, it had been like 68 years since they had played it there. But just a wonderful golf course in Northern Ireland, and typical links golf course, and it's going to be a great test to watch these guys play on it.
I think the club was founded like in 1888, and then they started playing, 2 or 3 years later, something like that. I mean, we just don't have anything that compares to it in the U.S., right?
No. No, not at all. It's, it's England and the UK and Ireland. It's the home of golf. And, they started playing over there at the old course at St. Andrews, and then it just continued to spread out from that point. And it got itself all the way over here and, started out with courses like Shinnecock and that kind of thing. But it's a phenomenal test and totally different than what you would see over here in the United States. We play over here what they call parkland golf. And then there's links golf. And this is a traditional great links golf layout.
So if you want to play golf over there, do you have to drive to the coast to play on a links course? Do they have these parkland courses, like what we would consider a quote-unquote normal golf course? Do they have that in London somewhere? Or if you're in London, you got to drive out to the coast if you're going to golf? Golf in a day like we do. They go on weekend trips or something.
Yeah, there is parkland courses all over the place. But most of the people that go over there to play, they want to play links golf. So
Yep.
They're driving to where they can get on a course that they can play links golf at. Now the Royal courses, or the courses that are in the Rota for the Open Championship, those are on courses that are a little bit more difficult to get on. You'll have to pay some money, or you'll have to get, if you're a member of it at a country club or whatever, get it set up through a reciprocal arrangement through the club or that kind of thing. But for the most part, you can play a lot of those, like the old course at St. Andrews. You can get in the lottery. There's a lottery that you can sign up for and to get out to play. But you're gonna pay a steep price if you want to play a lot of those Rota courses that they play the Open Championship on.
You mentioned Lowry in 2019, and before that, it had been 68 years, as you said. So now we're going. Yeah. So we went from 68 to 6. How did that come about?
You just don't know. It could have been politics. It could have been in the country, all that kind of stuff. It just sometimes courses get overlooked, or there's other courses that the RNA have decided that they want to have all their tournaments on. But now, you play in this one where Lowry wins and you come back again pretty quickly. So it sounds like it's one that's going to be there to stay, and the Royal and Ancient is going to keep that in the Rota.
So how much experience does Rory have on this course? You've referenced this earlier this year. You thought this was a place he could win because he knows it. So has he been playing this course since he was a teenager? What's the background?
All of the above, DJ. He has played this golf course since he was young. I think he shot the course record on it when he was like early teens, 14, something like that. Shot 61. And has played a lot of golf on this golf course, played a lot of tournaments on this golf course. So it's just, it's one of the ones that he plays up there in Northern Ireland, besides his home club there in Hollywood, Ireland. But this is just a phenomenal golf course. I haven't been up to Portrush before. I've been to Portmarnock. I've been to another few courses there in Ireland, but this is one of the gems of the country.
Reading up on it, 7,300 yards, I think, and talking about only 2 of the holes are downwind, and most of them have crosswinds depending on the hole in either direction. How important is that in terms of the eventual winner or the contenders to be able to control the shots given which direction that wind may be blowing?
Well, it depends on, like you said, going left to right or right to left or down or cross or into, that kind of thing. Guys understand that they're going to get this type of test. You're not only dealing with the wind, but I'm looking at the weather forecast in Portrush, and it looks like it's supposed to rain every day. The hardest rain will be on Thursday. And when you look at winds, you look at 10 to 15 mile-an-hour winds, 20-mile-an-hour winds. Well, then it becomes a real test of golf, and that's what, on links-style golf courses, weather always makes the golf course play tougher. So when you've got a lot of wind and you've got to deal with it right to left, left to right, crossed from both directions, or even on crossing going quartering down or crossing quartering in, there's a lot of different things that can make it very, very, very tricky. But you're going to have to control your ball. You're going to have to control the ball flight and be able to hit shots that will hold into the wind or hold up into a crosswind or hook with a crosswind or fade with a crosswind, that kind of thing. There's just a lot that goes into it, especially at major championship golf setups.
So for the long hitters, the guys who just want to crush it, in a little cheat code, pot bunkers everywhere, how many gazillion are spread across the course?
Oh, there's a ton of them. And if you get in one, then it's going to be a half to a full shot penalty because you won't be able to advance it to get it on the green. So you have to pick and choose on how you want to attack this golf course. If you're going to lay up short of pot bunkers and play the golf course from there, or if you're gonna just bomb it and take those on and hopefully be controlling your ball enough that you're going to be able to miss those. And when Tiger won, what was it? The first time he won at the old course at St. Andrews, also when he won at Royal Liverpool, Tiger never ever hit a tee ball into a fairway bunker, and would just play his iron game, which was 5, 4, 3 irons into greens. He would take his medicine by not getting it into those fairway bunkers, and then take apart like some of the par fives and that kind of thing. But you just have to kind of come up with and formulate a game plan. The guys that have gotten there a little bit early have been able to play and check out the golf course a little bit better, and be able to start putting a game plan together to be able to play this golf course. Also, the guys that have gotten there early have been able to deal with time change. Guys that played last week in Scotland as well as guys that went over, like Tony Finau went over the weekend before. So he went over, I think, on Friday or Saturday. So it's all in the golf course setup, how fiery the fairways are, how fiery the greens are. If they're the wind, the elements will play a huge factor. And if you get caught on the wrong side of the draw, whether it's early or late, and weather comes in or weather doesn't come in, then it becomes really nice and really hard. You can have a nice weather window to be able to shoot a decent score, or you can have a hard weather window that could make you miss the cut.
All right, it's time for the draft, Bob. Are you ready?
Okay, so explain again how we're doing it, PK.
DJ, I told him whatever he wants. I did.
No.
What do you mean no?
No, we already know the main guy. The big guys are off the board, but are they off the board, period, or are they just off the board for the first pick?
I think we had decided it's like the football thing. You started week 1, and you can only pick the Chiefs or the Eagles or the Bills once. So you get to decide, do you want them now?
Okay.
Do you want them later? But once you pick them, that's it.
Okay.
You know?
You got it. So I've got Rory twice and Scheffler, so that's it. I'm done with those guys.
Okay.
Okay.
So who do you want then? Who's next up?
I'm really tied between two guys.
Well, you can't take Morikawa. You took Morikawa.
Morikawa's my regional. No, he's not my regional pick.
No,
I could take Morikawa if I wanted to.
You took Morikawa at the U.S. Open, though.
Picks?
Your regional pick is Xander Schauffele,
who won twice last year.
That's right. So my picks I have taken are Rory. Did I take Rory, and Scheffler?
I think he's thinking about number 1 picks exclusively.
Oh, just we're going to take number 1 picks off the board?
No.
We're going to take them all off.
I think you're thinking
I'm taking
all.
Yes.
He's thinking just number 1. That's the confusion
here. Now I understand.
Yeah.
So if I've already taken a guy, they're out, period. For
1 through 3.
Okay, got it. Okay, I'm going to take Tommy Fleetwood.
Oh, that's what I was going to take. Suck.
Right out of the gate.
Yes.
Oh, that's too bad.
He was going to be my guy.
Tommy Fleetwood.
The disappointment was going to be turned upside down. And as the guy
Tommy Fleetwood finished second last time here.
He did. Yeah, and he was the guy I wanted to see win. I was going to root for him. And his wife is like 25 years older than him, Bob. Would you ever do that?
I know. Isn't that the crazy thing?
Yeah. And your wife is like 25 years younger than you, so that's like a 50-year age gap there.
No, she's about 3. And I just had a birthday yesterday, PK.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
You're finally retirement age?
I hit retirement age yesterday.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yep. Medicare, baby, all the way.
Good for you.
All right, I'm limited here because I've already taken Scheffler and Ludwig and Colin Morikawa. But you know who I haven't taken yet?
No. There's plenty. There's like hundreds.
It looks like I haven't had a chance to draft a Rory yet.
Then go
there
ahead.
It is.
What?
Well, you keep taking him, Bob. How am I supposed to get him?
Okay. Yes, you can.
Excuse me. I'll go with hometown favorite Lowry.
Shane?
Okay.
Yeah. But I was planning on Fleetwood because I didn't think anybody would take him, and then I was going to get Lowry in the second round, so I'll just have to move him up. I'm surprised you took him, honestly.
He crossed him up.
It did. It totally did. I didn't. Yeah, I thought, that'll be a safe pick.
Okay, DJ, you have all my picks there?
I do.
Okay. Have I taken Hovland or Oberg?
No.
I guess if PK says no, then no.
then I am going to take
He'll take
Victor
Hovland.
Hovland, number 2.
Because he's had a better season. The other kid was hot last year, but he's kind of tailed off a little bit with some changes, and we'll see him next year.
Swing changes, messing everything up.
Fleetwood and Hovland.
All right.
Come on.
Who have I got left? I know. I'm crossing myself up here. These new rules are wrecking me.
You wreck me, baby.
I'll take. I haven't had DeChambeau yet. I'll take him. Oh, I take that back. I have had him. I have had him. I have had him. My bad. I told you it was wrecking me.
I haven't taken him except for the very last one.
Doggone it.
Come on, G.
I'm going to have to pass and come back. These new rules are confusing me.
Come on. Go JJ Spawn back to back. Go ahead.
That doesn't happen.
Right. That's why you did.
All right, fine. JJ Spawn. Talk me into it. Now if he wins, you can take credit for it.
JJ Spawn.
Yeah,
okay?
but you'll be in the winner's circle, not me.
He's gonna pull a Schauffele, huh? Gonna win 2 majors, gets one in the box and gets a second. Interesting. Okay.
Well, he played golf at San Diego State, so he's all excited about him.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
That he did. Okay.
Oh man, I'm gonna go with not a local, but not a USan either. Can you guess who I'm thinking?
No.
I'm going to go... Oh, Yacht, that's a good one. Yeah, Justin Rose.
Rose, he finished second last year.
He's one of my favorite guys ever because I got to think, and he's been a pro for many years, and it's obviously really good, but I got to think he could walk down any major city in the U.S. and not be bothered.
Yeah.
And Tiger needs to rent out movie houses and restaurants if he wants to go see a movie or go out to eat. I wouldn't want that. I would much rather be Rose and be able to play golf for a living, make a ton of money, and in this country anyway, maybe it's different in his home country, I don't know. But over here...
Oh, they'll know him there.
I would assume. I think he would be able to just go anywhere around here, and nobody would... Hey, that's Justin Rose. How cool would that be? I think that'd be awesome.
That'd be kind of cool.
I think it would be, yeah. And then actually be on the tour for how long has he been on it? 20 years? 25 years?
I don't know. Yeah, he turned pro right after his amateur debut in the Open Championship.
Yeah.
And he missed 24 straight cuts or something like that before he made a cut. And now look at the career he's had.
Exactly.
Pretty good.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, Bob, your third and final pick. Who do you like?
My third and final pick, it's the Open Championship, so it's kind of a European CB&I squad for me this year.
Right.
So I'm going Sepp Straka, number 3.
All right. Okay. The Scepter.
I like that pick. I wanted to make it, and then I saw the rules and realized, dang it, I took him earlier this year.
Oh,
fetch. I know. All right, I'm going to go with the reach.
Well, DJ, the rules are constantly evolving.
They are. They are evolving.
Every year, they're constantly evolving.
It's like the NFL, man. We're entertainment. We got to change to meet the needs of the people.
Okay, here's a long shot to look at. I was reading over long shots. I knew I needed one.
Shots.
I know. Ryan Fox, Kiwi, won a couple times. Used to the I don't know this part. I just read this part, but apparently because he's from New Zealand, he's used to playing in this kind of weather. He was like it's like the old horse racing analogy, the mutters PK.
North Zealand has this kind of weather?
That's what got me a little bit. But yeah, when I was reading it, apparently he's grown up playing in this weather.
I did not know that.
I think it depends on where you are in New Zealand.
I've never been to New Zealand.
Me neither. So I'm going Ryan Fox. He's got a couple wins under his belt this year. We'll see.
The Fox.
Yes. And you have the last pick, PK.
I do?
You do.
Should I go Morikawa?
Sure, why not?
Okay.
You talked him into it.
I was thinking about going with all foreign and going Fitzpatrick, but I tapped that once. I don't know if I can go there.
Matty Fitz has been good for you.
Yeah?
Matty Fitz has been good for you.
Yeah. And this is all for naught now because we've all had Scheffler at some point this year, and so he's the favorite. So if he goes out and wins, well, we boxed ourselves in with the new rules. All right,
You
Bob.
kind of snuck it in there with a Rory.
Well, yeah, I just hadn't had a chance to get him. So
Yeah.
there you go.
Okay. All righty.
All right, Bob. I will email you these picks, and you will know who to track.
You got it.
All right, thanks, Bob.
All right, guys. Take care.
There's Bob Casper. A reminder, DJ and PK proudly presented by our title sponsor, Black Desert Resort, Utah's premier golf resort. Chris Karpman talking ASU football. Coming up next, he works for Sun Devil Source 24/7 Sports. He's covered them for a long time, brings an interesting perspective to the team that everyone in the Big 12 is chasing, the defending champs. That's next. Stay with us. Win big this Friday with Free Tickets Friday. This Friday, win tickets to Dirk Bentley's Broken Branches Tour coming to the Utah First Credit Union Amphitheater on July 31st. Get tickets now at livenation.com or listen to The Zone all day Friday for your chance to win. DJ PK, we're joined now by Chris Karpman, Sun Devil Source, part of 24/7 Sports. Chris, good morning.
Hey, good to be with you guys.
Chris, we want to have you on because listening to everyone talk at the Big 12 Media Days, that was a lot of praise for the quarterback. That was a lot of praise for the coach. That was a lot of praise for the team. And I'm curious how they're handling it. And I did hear that question was posed to the coach, who immediately said, well, I'd rather be the underdog. How is all that wearing? Because it seems like the hype it's earned, it's justified, but it is a lot.
Yeah, I think Kenny Dillingham is always trying to create challenges mentally for his team. Doesn't want them to be comfortable or rest on their laurels or anything like that. But my feeling about these players, having covered ASU for about 20 years now, is probably the best leaders that I've been around. Xavier Alford in particular on defense. This is going to be his sixth year of college. He was at Texas and USC. His emotional leadership and his work ethic, and Sam Levitt's work ethic, a lot of the players who were new to ASU in the spring said that they were surprised at how he was trying to win every conditioning race and all these small little things that would be insignificant and not competitive to a lot of people, they battle each other at. And so the thing that they like to talk about is, as a theme of the team, is they want to have more fun working harder than anybody in the country. And they personify that because of the competitiveness and the day-to-day work ethic and being process-driven rather than result-oriented is, I think, what enabled their success last year. And I don't see that changing. In fact, some of the players said at Big 12 Media Day that the season ended with a sour taste in their mouth because they thought they should have beat Texas, and they had it, and they gave it away. The fourth and 14 or 13, whatever it was. And so they feel like they have something to prove. And remember, a lot of these guys are also trying to get drafted high next year, including the ones that I mentioned.
A lot of talk with Levitt being the best quarterback in a quarterback-heavy league, which is impressive. You know, this league is going to have so many quarterbacks coming back, and it's going to be exciting because there's some really good quarterbacks to see what they got, what they're able to do, and putting Levitt at the top. And then if he has a big season, since he redshirted over there at Michigan State, he would be eligible for the draft and all that. And then you're hearing, wait a second here. Man, it was all scatterboo. That offense is going to take a huge hit as far as that goes because he did everything for them, and it was such a spiritual leader, too, in addition to his ability to have the production out on the field. So what do you think is Levitt's mindset as far as what he's trying to accomplish in terms of, I got to prove something, and I got this offense, me and Arroyo are back for the second year, Arroyo being the coordinator, and we can really take this to the high level so there's no pressure type thing. Take us into what you think his mindset is.
Well, he's, as I said, highly competitive, and he expects a lot of himself. He even said to me that he didn't think that he played that well last year at times. First year as a starter, first year seeing all these different types of defensive coverages at game speed, and that was a big adjustment, especially when it was his first year in a new offensive scheme. So there's a lot that will be easier for him. The education that he got last year should pay dividends. Overcoming Scotty, we know that's a huge absence that will put a lot more on his shoulders. I don't think he's daunted in any way by that. I think he feels like he's up for the challenge. His tendency, I think, was last year to try to make the bigger play happen, or to wait for that to happen rather than be just accept taking the check down or the hot route for 5 yards. And he didn't go turnovers, interceptions really last year too much. I think he had 6 on the season, which is pretty good for a first-year starter, really good actually. But I think that he made it a little bit too hard on himself at times with like how much he was willing to run around to try to extend plays, to try to find the big play, and to preserve himself and to make sure that he's staying healthy and ASU staying on schedule with a lot of its drives. I think he's got to be just a little bit more willing to take the easy play rather than try to make big things happen.
Northern Arizona at home, at Mississippi State, an SEC school, but an SEC school coming off a 2-10 season, and Texas State. Given how good the Devils are now, but how bad they were a couple years ago, and given the fact that schedules are done pretty far out, is there any buyer's remorse over this schedule? Because it doesn't really give them a chance to prove themselves in the non-conference, help themselves, and help the Big 12 Conference at the same time. Or, hey, it is what it is, roll the dice, and this is the way it played out. Who cares?
Well, ASU played Texas State and Mississippi State last year also, and still made it to the Big 12 championship game in the CFP. So schedule is not going to be really tougher or easier, I don't think, really, in the aggregate. So going on the road into the SEC, that's obviously a tougher task, but that was Scadaboo's best game last year. He ran for 300 yards or something, and that 3-down front that Mississippi State uses seems to still be intact, and something that they really struggled with ASU's run blocking, and ASU has 4 offensive line starters that are back. So I feel like that game still is an ASU edge, but tougher, obviously, being on the road. And Texas State is that team gave ASU a lot of problems with how dynamic that it was at the line of scrimmage. A lot of asymmetric blitz pressures and things that were difficult for the players. But having played that game and being able to go back and lean on the film and having so many returners and that game being in Tempe, I think that's a pretty big advantage for ASU. Ultimately you have to win. You have to win probably 10 games to be a CFP team from the Big 12. If ASU does it, I think it will end up in the same position as last year. And if not, then it will probably have fallen short of what it expected of itself.
We were at the Big 12 media broadcasting, and Dillingham was our first guy, came right over. I think that has something to do with Tamaro, the SID, knowing that I'm an ASU grad, so they sent him right over to get that. And one of the things I noticed or saw or learned, I should say, when he was talking is that he's, to an extent, he's certainly obviously not giving up on the rushing game, but he, at least, and get your thought on this, the way I took it, is he was talking about, all right, we're losing, an all-time guy, but there's other ways to move the chains and like picking up 4, 5, 6, 7 yards at a time. And he was talking about the short passing game as being one way to offset the loss of Scadaboo. And my thought for you is to talk about the ability for them to use the short passing game. How will that work in terms of, we know Jordan Tyson's a big play guy, but I realize they've got other guys and the tight ends look to be pretty good. So what do you see about their ability to compensate for the Scatterboo yards to a degree through the short passing?
Yeah, that's what they're going to have to do. Marcus Arroyo, ASU's offensive coordinator, has also talked about that quite a bit. They're going to have to distribute the football via run replacements, screens, rhythm passing game. A lot of that really is requires Sam Levitt to have a high intellect on his pre-snap recognition of coverages. That just wasn't as developed last year as it should be this year, especially given some of the same opponents that ASU is going to play in a whole year to sort of go over that film and really process everything. The Jordan Tyson, I think, will make it harder on defenses to not have somebody that's in one-on-one coverage elsewhere that's good enough to make plays, whether that's Shimon Mate or the tight end you mentioned who was second-team all-conference last year, or Malik McLean, who has great size at 6'4" and over 200 pounds, and he stepped up pretty big in the postseason last year when Jordan Tyson was out with the collarbone injury. Or it could be one of a few newcomers. The guy that really jumped out to me in spring ball was Jaron Hamilton. He has a big play capability as a transfer from Alabama. His nickname's Turbo, and he's got the ability to get behind the defense. So there's, his quickness and his elusiveness has to be accounted for along with all these other players, and there's going to be some one-on-one opportunities there. What Dillingham said is that if we can throw the ball more on first down successfully as run replacements, that will allow us to be more aggressive on second and third downs to where we can maybe hit on some bigger plays, and that in the aggregate will help us to offset the loss of Cam Scatterboo. So they're definitely thinking about how they can best accomplish that.
Chris Karpman joining us, Sun Devil Source, part of 24/7 Sports, Arizona State. Picked to be right back at the top again in the Big 12 with the possible exception of Kansas State. You mentioned Jordan Tyson there. He had 1,100 yards receiving, but he was limited by injuries in 23. The end of the 24 season was cut short. Is he healthy? Is there anything they can do to keep him healthy once they get him healthy? Or it's football and hopefully he'll get some better luck?
He's in great shape now. I saw him just the other day, actually, and he said that he's in the best shape of his life. He's over 200 pounds. When he arrived at ASU, he was coming off of a major knee surgery to repair a few ligaments that he had injured as a freshman in November at Colorado when he was playing there. He led the team in receiving yards, but didn't play the last game or two. He actually got hurt against Oregon when Kenny Dillingham was the offensive coordinator there. So 2023 season, he never really was able to get fully healthy, but 2024 he was back, and then he had the collarbone against Arizona that had surgery. But by spring ball, he was basically fine, and he said that he wanted to get bigger and stronger and take his physical regimen more seriously to try to prevent future injuries, because he's already had a couple that were significant, and seems to be I think he's matured a lot. He's only 20 years old for somebody who's entering his fourth year of college. He was a 17-year-old when he got to college. So I feel like he's coming into his own. He also said this is the first year that he will have the same quarterback that he will be playing with and the same offensive coordinator that he will play under. So that chemistry between Levitt and Tyson was pretty special. And I think there's no reason to think that they won't be among the top quarterback wide receiver duos in the country.
One of the ways I will measure ASU as being legitimate rather than one-hit wonder, because I can go back from guys after Marmie was fired, Snyder, what's-his-face, Cutter, all on and on, Todd Graham, even Herm. Yeah. He really is Herm the Germ. as far as I'm concerned, because he poisoned that program. But they've all had their moments in the sun, Dennis Erickson, but there's been no ability to sustain it whatsoever. And one of the ways that I think you can judge it legitimacy in terms of sustaining it is through obviously recruiting, and particularly in the state of Arizona. And there's so many guys, and it seemed like 95% of them leave. And my thought for you is how he's doing, Dillingham, with the in-state. And I know he had this golden ticket thing that they did to try to drum up some publicity to send out to the top kids. And if I remember correctly, he was talking about, well, we're not going to have a whole lot of success in the 25 and 26 classes because we got here too late, and you need to start that relationship early. But what is your assessment of their in-state recruiting? Because so much talent just flees the state. And to me, if they can find a way to start getting just maybe like 3 or 4 of the top 10, then they're on to something. So speak to that.
Well, it's a very multifaceted question that would take an entire segment. But I think, first of all, high school recruiting is less important now than ever. And that is because 2 reasons. First is transfer portal impact and success. ASU's had a bunch of the prominent Arizona high school kids return via transfer, and actually a lot of them haven't really done that much. I'm talking about former 4-stars, guys who were number 1 in their classes overall, like a Bram Walden, or others that were in the top 10. There have been a lot of highly ranked high school kids in Arizona that haven't panned out at other places, and so you can't. It isn't to say that you don't want to take kids that are really good. That you think fit your culture and your DNA, because absolutely you need to do that. But the other facet of this, the second part, is that we're now in a revenue sharing era in which pretty much almost all, if not all, incoming freshmen, high school recruits are promised a certain amount of money to go to a school. And so you have to make really wise decisions about how you allocate. And ASU is not going to be giving a lot of that money, probably not more than the minimum, in fact, that it will give players on its roster to incoming freshmen, because it has prioritized returning all of its players, which it returned almost everybody in the 2-deep who had additional eligibility, save like maybe 2 backups. And then also it prioritized replacement players via the transfer portal. And that's where ASU's had so much success. Really, you look all across the roster, and the starters are guys that were elsewhere 2 or 3 years ago. So you have to still keep plugging away and trying to do the best that you can. I think you sell your success. You sell the draft prospects of a lot of these players. Like ASU will have more guys drafted next year than it did this year, between the guys that we've talked about and others. And you have to continue to build relationships with guys when they're young. The golden ticket thing, I don't know that that's going to necessarily change that much. It's just letting the top 5 or 6 guys that they're targeting in the 2027 class know that they would take their commitments, and that there's nobody that's more important than they are. 2026, ASU is going to get a few guys, and in the state, I think it's kind of a down year actually in Arizona compared to some recent years. Probably would have been better to see ASU have more success in 2025, but I don't think that this is the impediment to success overall that I thought that it would have been 3 years or more ago. I just think that the landscape of college football has changed so much so rapidly that a lot of teams, in fact, are sort of lingering and holding on to this idea of how important their high school recruiting class ranking is. And I don't think that it actually means as much anymore.
Okay.
With all the stories about Texas Tech, has ASU circled that game on the calendar or no?
I don't think it's ASU's nature to circle particular games, just given that it wants to have a let's do the best that we can today and then let's do it again tomorrow type of a vibe. But they lost a game that they felt like was probably the worst that they played all year. Like that and Cincinnati were just bad performances. And it was early in the year, and Sam Leavitt was very much, I think, shaky in that game more than others. And, of course, also Texas Tech benefactors poured millions and millions of dollars into improving that roster, particularly on the defensive line and to some degree the offensive line. So that's going to be one of the best teams in the conference, in my opinion. I feel pretty strongly about that. And anytime that you get a chance to play against a team that you lost to, especially when you didn't lose that much, I think there's going to be, perhaps a little extra in the emotional tank on that one.
Chris, we appreciate the time and the thoughts on ASU football. Thanks for joining us this morning.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Chris Karpman, Sun Devil Source, part of 24/7 Sports, joining us right here on The Zone. When we come back, what is trending? The headlines are right around the corner. That's next, right here on The Zone.
It's time to get your morning started with the news you need to know.
News update.
This is what's trending with DJ and PK. Hashtag NBA.
Expansion was discussed both at a committee level and at the board, and ultimately the league office was tasked by our board with doing an in-depth analysis of all the issues around expansion, both economic and non-economic. A lot of analysis still needs to be done, and nothing's been predetermined one way or the other, and without any specific timeline. I mean, we're going to be as thorough as possible and look at all the potential issues.
That's NBA Commissioner Adam Silver. Now, I know you want to say blah, 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 you're going to Seattle and Las Vegas. All right, they probably are going to Seattle and Las Vegas. I'll put Seattle at 95% and Vegas at 90%. Now, they got to find owners for those markets, because the one thing where Adam Silver is deadly serious, we've got to study this, because you got to make those owners money. You are commissioner for we'll call you the commissioner, and you've got to, suspend players and discipline players and award trophies and all that. But 95% of your job is to make the owners more money. So how is this going to make them more money? Yep, when they raise their hands and they vote yes, they get a big old check, right? What do you think, $2 billion, Yak? Oh. Now the Lakers have gone for 10. Might have to raise that number.
$2 billion's on the low end. I've heard
they got to study that and make sure that, right, because you know what they don't do? Give away expansion franchises on the low end.
Well, and I've heard somewhere around 5 could be the kind of entry point.
I believe it now, because there's that big fight, as I just think about this, there's that big fight over the Timberwolves, right, with A-Rod's group and what's the entry price, and they got in for the lower one, and it was just under 2, so you're right.
But they also had to sue.
2's way low. I retract that, Your Honor.
They had to sue to get that lower price, too. So
they had armies. They had lawyers lined up 100 deep.
Yeah, he talked also, if you look at the expanded comments during kind of that it was about 2 minutes, I think he was talking about expansion. He talks about, hey, we're selling equity in this league.
Yeah, 100%.
And so we're not going to lowball ourselves.
So the thing that's changed that they'll study is they used to make some money off the network TV, and they used to make money off local TV. Now they make a lot of money off those 3. I don't even know if we can call them network, because now you got a streaming package in there. But there's 3 national TV rights holders, and they make, we've talked about it, there's $76 billion, which I think if you do the math out is more than $200 million per team per year. And so you're sharing that. It used to be these new teams that come in and generate a lot of the money on local TV. Well, that didn't come out of your pocket. They could just make their money, and that was fine. Well, that's not happening. The sports regionals are breaking down left and right. I think the best model right now is local TV and a local streaming service, and it's the model the Jazz have and a few other teams have it. That's the one that reaches the most fans and will help you grow the game, but it's not going to pay the bills. I mean, there's money in it, but there used to be home runs in local TV. There used to be gravy trains full of money. Well, those tracks have been pulled up, and there are no gravy trains full of money anymore. Now, you can get out there, you can get hits, if I can mix my metaphors. There's singles and doubles to be had. But tape measure home runs, yeah, good luck with that. The network TV, that's the tape measure home run there. So they do have to figure out how they're going to share it. I think they are going to expand. But how much money can they charge? And how much are they going to cost themselves? Because now you're going to divvy up that network TV money 32 ways instead of 30. Meanwhile, back on the court, hey, look, the Utah Jazz are going to play tonight. They're going to play the Washington Wizards. Could this be the Ace Bailey grudge game? You wanted him. We got him. Ha, 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 ha. Tip off at 8 on ESPN.
It's a storyline. If he plays.
I was going to say it could be a storyline. It was a storyline when they set the schedule, but now, not so much.
We also do know that they will wrap up Summer League play Friday against the Bulls. They announced that's in the consolation round.
And that will be that. Well, we've seen about enough if they're not going to let these other players play, right? What have we learned? Lessons? Cody Williams is a little bigger, weighs a little more. Needs to be a little bigger and a little stronger and weigh a little more than this.
Kyle Filipowski's way too good for Summer League.
Right. Am I getting too excited? Am I getting out of control?
The problem is I'm concerned about his defense. Who does he guard on the other end?
I don't know. Outscore him.
But that
that's a pretty entertaining style of basketball. And put a shot blocker behind him. Put a shot blocker behind him and tell him, get up on that guy, take away the three-point shot. Try to stay in front of him, beat you off the dribble. You got Rudy Gobert behind.
You got Walker Kessler.
You got Walker Kessler.
Maybe.
How do you get a second athletic 7-footer out on the court? Filipowski can move a little bit. I'm talking about athletic. ATH-A-. Okay, you got it. Wizards tonight at 8 o'clock. DJ and PK.
Hashtag NFL.
I've been pretty frustrated, I'm not going to lie. Everything that has transpired up to this point has been disappointing and frustrating. I've wanted to continue my career here. I've created my life here. This has been somewhere where I've always wanted to be.
That is Terry McLaurin on his contract status. Now, McLaurin, you could be frustrated right now. You know, he's 29. He's had some decent years there in Washington. Now suddenly he's got a great quarterback. He's got a chance to put up massive numbers, and he's done 5 1,000-yard seasons in a row. But really big. He had 13 touchdowns last year, and that's the first time he's been in double digits. He was there for all the dysfunction, all the losing, all the craziness, all the wackiness. But got to get paid pretty soon because you're a wide receiver and you're 29, and exactly how long is this going to last? Now, 5 straight 1,000-yard seasons, he's not slipping, but now is the time. This will be much yelling and banging of drums, and then he'll get paid, right, Yuck? That's how this works out.
Sure feels that way. This is no longer the Dan Snyder Commanders. I think they're smart enough to realize, hey, this guy's good. We should pay him.
Yeah, 1,000 yards and 13 touchdowns. Might want to help your quarterback out and bring him back in. But be careful. Get a little excited. Give away all that money. I mean, we hear it from Bill Armstrong with the Mammoth. Hey, you got money, but there is a cap, and you got to have enough for the rest of the team. So it depends on how crazy his demands are. A day after giving Garrett Wilson a big money extension, the Jets are back at it, giving standout cornerback Sauce Gardner a 4-year, $120.4 million contract extension that includes $85 million. Now, the difference here is the Jets are paying veteran quarterbacks. Now, they're not paying expensive veteran quarterbacks. Washington's got a guy on a rookie deal, so there's a little more money to be had, right? Once your quarterback bellies up to the bar, as we just saw in San Francisco, and you pay him $50 million plus, well, now you don't have as much money for everybody else. Chiefs made guard Trey Smith the highest paid interior offensive lineman in league history with a 4-year, $94 million deal that includes a record $70 million guaranteed. They got to fix the O-line. If he's really good, great, and put 4 guys next to him. They've lost 2 Super Bowls because their offensive line wasn't good enough. Now they've got 3, and that's awesome. But the thought they could have 5, 1 year was injuries. There's nothing they could do about it. They got ravaged in the AFC playoffs, and they did not have anything close to a healthy offensive line to go up against Tom Brady and the Bucs. But last year, the line was definitely slipping. Art Monk, they're going to retire the number 81. Man, that tells you right there how messed up Washington was under previous ownership. Art Monk was the man. PK grew up in Jersey and right in the middle of the NFC East and all those. I didn't. I grew up in San Diego on the other coast rooting for a team in the other conference, and I knew Art Monk was the man. It was completely obvious. About time, Washington. Anybody who was at a club that long and played that well? Come on. DJ and PK.
Hashtag college football.
You know, I'm not really in the business of, this is going to sound mean, but like caring what other people think. But, you know, I'm grateful that y'all think that, but I've only played, 2 games, so I got a lot to prove. I don't know. We got a bunch of famous people in Austin. We got McConaughey rolling around, so I'm in his shadow.
Arch Manning doing the aw shucks thing and doing it pretty well. And he's right. He only has played a couple games, and there's just been a ton of hype for him. So he's right. It is weird, and he hasn't deserved any of it. So he just tries to play along and play ball, which is really the only way to. There's no reason to fight all that public sentiment and social media and all that if they decide you're great or whatever. He's right. He hasn't done anything in the SEC. And after McConaughey and the governor, who's more famous in Austin? Sarkeesian, maybe? Yeah. Archer's 3rd or 4th.
Yeah.
Which is weird because he's right. He's only played a couple of games. Mediation between the Pac-12 and the Mountain West failed after the two conferences failed to reach a settlement agreement over $55 million in poaching fees and then that take the matter to court. Man, Utah State's in court a lot. We got Scotty G on 9 o'clock. We'll talk to him about that. You're in court with 3 employees, a former AD, a former assistant AD, a football coach. They got the mediation here. We could talk to the president and the athletic director about it, but they've left. They need to figure out a way not to write all those checks. Maybe that's why mediation failed. That's a lot of money. Vanderbilt coach Clark Alea said he and his staff sought the inside of Colorado Buffaloes coach Deion Sanders as to how to manage two-way players with the Commodores defensive back Martel Height poised to expand his role for Vandy this fall and contribute on offense, a la Travis Hunter for the Buffs. Okay, that's 2 different things. Playing every down. Travis Hunter plays every down. That's crazy. And apparently he's the unicorn and he can do it, and that's unbelievable.
This feels more like an Eric Weddle situation.
Exactly. And that makes more sense to me, and I'm a little surprised it doesn't happen more often. When you get someone who's an excellent athlete, putting him on the other side of the ball for 8, 10, 12 snaps a game, that makes sense to me. Get your best players on the field.
Even though Travis Hunter played every snap, I think he's kind of reinvigorated that whole idea of, if you have an elite athlete.
Yeah, getting coaches to think outside the box. I can see that.
Well, so BYU had this kid, McCabe Madsen, last year, who's a late addition to the 2025 class. There's some thought that he may play both linebacker and running back for BYU down the line.
But how many snaps at running back?
But that's the thing is,
right?
Which one you're primarily playing at, and what can you contribute on the other side of the ball?
When you said linebacker first, I assume linebacker first, and they've got a long history of good linebackers. Correct. And getting him in there. So he's this year?
So he's part of the 2025 class, but much like BYU,
he won't
guys,
be here.
He's going on a mission.
Oh.
So, see you in 2027, bud.
All right, never mind. Everything I was going to say, never mind. DJ PK.
Hashtag Major League Baseball.
Schwarber in the air to center field, headed towards the wall, and dead center. That's huge for the National League. They're within 1. So there you go. He said if he could get it on his first swing, and he did. Oh! Schwarber's in the All-Star game. Oh! Tied at 3.
That's MVP material if he gets the third one right here.
AL rallied in the game. NL has rallied in the swing. With the hat trick. Look out, Chop House. National League takes the lead 4-3. Last chance coming. Down to this swing for the American League. Can Aranda force Alonso? Aranda slices a fly ball to left center field, headed towards the wall, but short, and the National League wins it in the first swing off.
As some of the players said afterwards, I didn't know that was a thing.
Well, you heard some of them that were actually participating in the swing off like, hold on, what?
I didn't want to call any player out because I don't know how many players didn't know. Well, but plenty of players didn't know.
Stowers, the Marlins kid who was their first one up for the NL, he's like, well, I just learned I'm going to be up, and I didn't know this is a thing, so here we go, and okay.
Who participates? The guys who haven't already gotten a car and gone to the airport?
Well, that's the thing is Tarek Skubal, he was in street clothes. He'd come back out to watch the swing-off happen. But, yeah, some of the guys may have already been on their way home to wherever they were going.
National League wins the All-Star game after they go 6-6 for 9 innings. They have a swing-off in the little mini home run derby. And they win for just the second time in the last 13 years. The All-Star game exists in a weird land. It has in many ways outlived its usefulness. But on the other hand, it's popular and it makes money. So now what do? People like it. Yeah, well, don't have my pitcher go out there and wreck his arm. Why didn't they go extra innings? And no more pitchers. They don't want to put 40 pitchers on the roster.
Correct.
They don't want to have the bullpen and the dugout too crowded. And at the same time, nobody wants their pitcher going out there and having 3 extra innings and having this turn into some 12, 13 inning thing.
And mind you, some people think that it's like MLB is geniuses for coming up with this swing-off deal. Here's the deal. The Pioneer League, Ogden Raptors are part of it, has been doing this for at least 3 or 4 years now. Games that go...
Well, Major League Baseball had the rule in place for the swing-offs in 2022.
Sure.
They just haven't had a tie game.
Correct.
And because of that, people don't know.
Yeah, but it's not all that novel. It's just the first time it happened in the Midsummer Classic, as they say.
Tampa Bay Rays will play potential postseason games at George M. Steinbrenner Field in Tampa, setting up the possibility of a World Series staged in a minor league stadium with a capacity of 10,046 people. They discussed the possibility of relocating for the postseason, decided against it. What are they going to do, go to Miami or Atlanta and play in an empty stadium?
There was some thought.
That would look weird.
Yeah.
How do you fill a stadium that far away?
Correct. So they're just... Now, do I expect the Rays to be in the World Series? Not particularly, but they are on track.
You never know. Crazier things have happened. Arizona had an 84-win team. They got hot. So you don't know. They might. I mean, that's not their history. They're like the Oakland A's. They play money ball. They are excellent at it. But as smart as you are, you're going to run into somebody else who's smart and put together a good roster, and they put it together with a lot of money. So that ends up being a problem. Rob Manfred, MLB Commissioner and Players Union head Tony Clark said plans are moving ahead to explore the possibility of using major leaguers in the 2028 Olympics. An extended Major League Baseball All-Star break to accommodate players in the Olympic tournament format, which I think would be great for the game. It would open up the players for drug testing.
You'd have to move the All-Star break back later because these games are supposed to start in August.
Yes, all of these things are true. And nonetheless, the exposure for a game they want to grow internationally would be huge.
Well, there's a reason why the NHL guys are going back to the Olympics next year.
Because the chance to grow the game internationally is huge. There is so much money to be made. And baseball, while not a global game in the way basketball is or soccer is much more international than football. And I think it's probably as international or maybe a little more than hockey.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, hockey's confined to Northern Europe largely by weather.
Yeah, but to your point, we're watching the NFL try and get this flag football thing going so they can expand their thing. MLB's over here like, hey, you're not stealing our thunder.
Oh, they've got legit teams all over the place, right? And when you use the rule where, depending on your grandparent, we'll see Americans who are in the major leagues and you think of them as American because they grew up in Missouri or Florida or wherever.
Lars Nootbaar, that's a European name all the way. Who does he play for? Japan.
Grandparent. Track down your grandparents. You might be eligible in another country. DJ and PK.
Hashtag RSL.
Real Salt Lake. 4 straight unbeaten, 3 wins. And they did have 1 draw, so 10 points out of the last 12. The dirty little secret and all that is they played 5 games in a row against bad teams. Teams well below the playoff line. Now they play a good team. Portland, well above the playoff line. This is much tougher competition than RSL's faced in their last 5 games. And they had a loss to the Galaxy in L.A. before they got on this streak. So, interesting test tonight. Both teams playing midweek. It's the middle game of 3 games in 8 days for both teams. So, there's going to be some squad rotation. What does that look like? RSL's got suspensions to deal with. Mecanelli isn't cleared to start. Ojeda has been suspended. Yellow card accumulation. So, what's the lineup going to look like? Probably Hidalgo in it right back and They'll probably have to move Caliscan, who's been playing great at right back, and move him back to defensive midfield where he was playing last year. So piece it together, figure it out. Maybe Johnny Russell, who didn't play Saturday, got a couple goals. We haven't seen him combine with Diego Luna yet. That could be interesting. Maybe he's into the starting lineup and you rotate somebody else out. You'll hear the game tonight right here on the Zone, RSL and the Portland Timbers. Portland coming in off a 2-1 loss to St. Louis. So good team, but struggling a little bit lately. Didn't look good in St. Louis on the weekend. DJ and PK.
Hashtag NHL.
I love the guys in there, great group. I don't think that's going to be the answer, though. I don't think we're going to agree on anything. I spoke to the coaching staff and management, and I think we're going to go in a different direction.
That was Michael Carcone's exit interview about him and the Utah Mammoth. And yesterday, the news, Michael Carcone, one-year deal, $775,000. So, here he is. You never know. What was the market for like for him around the league? 29 years old.
Not as robust as he thought.
Yeah. Well, bring him on back for one more year. Carcone's a fun name to say. Sounds good on a broadcast. Carcone. He shoots, he scores. DJ and PK, that's what's trending. It's brought to you by Shamrock Plumbing. There's no job too big or too small. Get the personal touch with Shamrock Plumbing. Coming up at 7:30, Peter Bukowski, host of Locked On Packers and Locked On Sports Today, will join us. 8 o'clock, Brian Taylor, host of Real Golf Radio on the Open Championship. 9 o'clock, Scotty G, host of Hands and Scotty, talking Mountain West football from the Mountain West Conference Media Days, and he's there for a couple days. He's obviously the radio voice of Utah State. He didn't know much about the team last time we talked to him because Bronco had everyone locked out. I wonder what the average turnover is for a Mountain West Conference football team. And Scotty can figure it out in the next couple of days. Like 50, 60 players. You get rid of the players who aren't good enough, but the players who are good are all off to Power 4 leagues and more money, and so you're rebuilding most of the roster. We'll talk with Scotty G at 9 o'clock. Peter Bukowski, we start a little tour around the NFL. We'll talk to him about Jordan Love, the Packers, and the NFC North, which was right there with the AFC West as just an excellent division. Best division in football, but can they repeat? Can the Bears make them even better? We'll talk with Peter next, right here on The Zone.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I present...
This is JJ and Alex.
Joining us on the program right now, he is 33-year-old defenseman Nate Schmidt.
Growing up in Minnesota, it had to be your dream to win a Stanley Cup, and now that dream is a reality. What was it like for you, and have you had a chance to kind of soak that in, spend some time with it? I don't know what your plan was or if you've had that chance yet.
You sleep in the bed next to it. That's what you do, right?
Yeah. No, you know what? It was everything I had hoped it would be. I would say this more than anything. Once you've tasted it, it's intoxicating. It's euphoric feeling. I have to have that again. It's not just about, it's everybody that's ever helped you along. It's, it's your parents, your family, everybody. It's all of that. It's not just you. It was, I have a 2-year-old son and another baby on the way. Like it's for him. It's being able to share with people that, mean the most to you and forever a bond with a city. That really does mean a lot.
Catch JJ and Alex afternoons from 3 to 6. Presented by G2G Bars on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Join Hans and Scotty Friday from noon to 3 at Mooyah Burgers, Fries and Shakes at 9710 State Street in Sandy. It's your new favorite burger place. We're joined now by Peter Bukowski, host of Locked On Packers and Locked On Sports Today. He is here to talk all things NFC North as we get ready for NFL camps to open. Peter, good morning.
Good morning. How's it going?
It is going well, Peter. And Peter, I am here to tell you, there have always been Packer fans in Utah. They are on TV here a lot. But putting Jordan Love there, a guy who Aggie fans obviously love, and Utah and Cougar fans can't find a reason to hate, that's seriously, that's a major accomplishment for Jordan Love. And if you ever talk to him about it, he'd be like, well, yeah, it is an accomplishment, actually. If he's honest with you, it is an accomplishment. It's hard to do. So
I feel like I have to ask him about it now.
Yeah. We watched them quite a bit here, and that division was really good. But in a weird way, do you feel like as good as the division is, things set up well for the Packers this year?
I think the pack has come back to wow, I didn't even mean that.
Nice.
But I think the pack has come back to the pack in this case. We have to go with it now, right? So because the Lions, the loss of Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn can't be overstated. I think what Aaron Glenn in particular did with that defense last year was remarkable. Without a lot of high-end talent after Aiden Hutchinson went down, I think I was not always as impressed with him as maybe some other people were until last year. Last year really changed things for me, and Ben Johnson has been impressive since he took over the reins there. It's one thing to, and we see this around the league, we see this in college, we see this all over. Just because you know the scheme, just because you know the playbook as a coach, doesn't mean you can recreate what a great coach can do. Game planning, play sequencing, feel for the game, all that stuff. Ben Johnson was an elite offensive coordinator and elite offensive coach. I don't think you can just assume the Lions are going to be as good. Now, how much of that transfers to the Bears, I think, is a real question. They were a 5-win team last year. I still think the Packers are a more talented team. They're a more cohesive team. I think they're a better team. And then the Vikings, they have this kind of fluky, all-time great in a supposed to be a gap year kind of season. I don't expect them to be anywhere near 14 wins again this year. I know they made some defensive improvements, but J.J. McCarthy is a never-ever. Like, rookie quarterbacks, even good ones, are going to struggle to get to 10, 11 wins. And so I just, in this division with their schedule, I don't see it. I think the Packers set up right now as either the best or second best team. I think there's a 1A, 1B with the Lions and the Packers right now in the NFC. And I'm not sure I would have been able to say that last year going into the year.
The Lions with 15 wins and Minnesota with 14. Yeah. Those kinds of seasons, most teams don't stack those back-to-back. Mahomes has had 14 wins or more 3 times. He's never done it back-to-back. So if he's not doing it back-to-back, then you feel like the stars have to align. You have to be healthy. You have to win close games. So the Lions and Vikings have to come back to the pack, especially the Vikings with a quarterback change. Now, could the Packers peak? When you look at 6 losses last year, do you see how they fundamentally altered the team and that's going to make them better? Or do you see games where they were a little unlucky and maybe things break their way?
I think luck was definitely a part of it. There were some inconsistencies. So the things that cost them the games that they lost last year, which, by the way, they lost 6 games, all to playoff teams, 5 in their division, 1 to the Eagles on an ice rink in Brazil in week 1. That field was an absolute disaster, if you may recall. Guys slipping all over the place. And that was they had the possession with the ball late with a chance to go win the game. That was true in the Lions game. They couldn't get one stop at the end of the Lions game. So they had their opportunities to win these games. They needed one stop against the Vikings in Minnesota late in the season and couldn't get it. They had these inconsistencies in these big games where they play this egalitarian style of offense. The ball finds energy. It's very Golden State Warriors-y in that you're going to move the ball. Everyone's going to get theirs, and it's going to be part of this whole where the sum of your parts, it's just going to be greater than each individual piece, right? So against the best teams, that wasn't good enough, and the inconsistencies cropped up. They had 4 or 5 drops just on 3rd down in that first Lions game in the rain. Jordan Love last year, 9% drop rate. Well, Jared Goff had a drop rate below 2. That's the difference between the Packers and the Lions last year. If the Packers drop balls even at a league average rate, I think they win 12 games last year. Maybe their seeding doesn't change that much because of the way NFL, playoff seeding works, but they're a better team, and I think they have a better chance to win. You look at the playoff game, though. Okay, Christian Watson tears his ACL in the last week of the season, and you have Jaden Reed leave that game, Romeo Doubs leave that game. Then you're trying to beat the Super Bowl champs with Malik Heath and Bo Melton and Dontavian Wicks. Like, that's just not going to be good enough. That's luck. That's bad luck, and that's what happened to them in the Bears game too. They lost that game at the end of the season against the Bears. Malik Willis played half that game. Christian Watson tears his ACL in that game. So you're looking at some luck that contributed to the losing here too.
Is Justin Jefferson so good he's going to make a rookie quarterback look better than rookie quarterbacks normally look? And should we think of him as a rookie quarterback because McCarthy was hurt, but he was, able to sit there and watch film with the coaches and have a headset on during the game and know what's going on, which, Mahomes broke out his second year, and a lot of people think the first year really primed him for that. I don't want to tell every rookie, okay, you have to be Patrick Mahomes now, because that's just a stupid thing to do. But nonetheless, you can learn without playing. Andy Reid thinks Mahomes learned without playing. So how much did JJ learn without playing, and how much does he get to lean on Jefferson?
I think one of the big differences there, and not to like go too far down the rabbit hole in this comparison, but I believe the stat is Mahomes had more attempts in just his last year in college than McCarthy did in his career at Michigan. Mm-hmm. So I think part of that is we've never seen J.J. McCarthy asked to be the guy. And you look at last year, they asked Sam Darnold to be the guy. So he was able to do it, but it wasn't like that offense was incredible. You look at, like adjusting for schedule, their efficiency was not top 5, top 8, top 10. And part of that is because the run game was inconsistent. So I think they're going to be dangerous. I think Kevin O'Connell is a hell of a coach. But your question, can Justin Jefferson single-handedly make a rookie quarterback a passable NFL quarterback? I kind of think the answer is yes. I think he is that good. I think we look at the Bengals a couple of years ago, right? Joe Burrow goes down. Jake Browning comes in. They go 4-3 with Jake Browning, and he looks like, a guy who could throw for 4,000 yards if he was given a full season in that offense. I think the weapons and the infrastructure are just so important to a young quarterback's development. Look at Dak Prescott that rookie season. When he's got Des Bryant and Ezekiel Elliott and this great infrastructure around him, he thrived. I think McCarthy can do that. The question is going to be, in a game late against the Packers, against the Lions, against the Eagles, against the Rams or the 49ers, can he make enough plays in the fourth quarter when it has to be him? Maybe Justin Jefferson is hurt or is getting double teamed or, is dealing with an illness. Can he make those plays? Because I don't think we've ever seen really a receiver carry a mediocre quarterback through the postseason into real contention. I just don't think we've seen that.
One reason that there were 3 teams with double-digit wins in the NFC North last year is because the Bears were that bad. They were a 5-12 team. The Green Bay game you referenced is the only division game they won. So everybody else can just load up on the wins. Now, they did lose a lot of close games. Yeah. 7 games by 6 points or less. I mean, they were right there, and they just couldn't do it. Do you think it'll be different with Caleb Williams now with a year under his belt? That what you talk about, the ability to make one big play in the fourth quarter when your team needs it. And most of the losses were low-scoring games. I mean, 20-19 to the Packers, 23-20 to Detroit, 6-3 to Seattle, 19-13 to Houston. There's a bunch of low-scoring games, and there's one more play.
Yeah, I think part of that, though, is that was a poorly coached team. And that's what happens when you're a poorly coached team. It does take some luck. But you look at all the underlying metrics for that team. They were a bad team. They were a 5-loss team. It's not like they were some secretly solid team that was losing all these games. No, they were losing those games because they were an inconsistent football team. They botched end-of-game situations. That Lions game that everyone watched on national TV where Caleb Williams doesn't seem to know time and score, it was just that's a rookie quarterback, but your coach has to be on that. So yes, your quarterback needs to too, but that's coaching. You have to be prepared for those situations, and they just weren't. You have to think Ben Johnson is going to have them more prepared, but how quickly can you take hold of something like that? Do they have enough talent for something like that? Does the defense, if Jalen Johnson misses 6 weeks, what does that passing defense look like? If offensively, if you don't get something, if Rome Odunze doesn't take a step forward, if Luther Burden can't be something right away, do you have enough firepower offensively? I don't think you can expect Colson Loveland to come in and be Brock Bowers right away. Most tight ends aren't. It takes these young receivers time. DJ Moore looked like he didn't want to be there most of last year. How much of that is Matt Eberflus? How much of that is Caleb Williams? It seemed like it was partially the quarterback, because he was frustrated with the ball not being where it needed to be on a regular basis. And that starts with a predisposition toward not wanting Caleb Williams in the first place. If you recall 2 years ago, DJ Moore was saying, we don't want Caleb Williams, we want Justin Fields. He wanted to keep the old guy for reasons that, defy God and everyone, to me anyway. But he just was not locked in. Can they get him locked in? This is unfortunately for them how bad teams stay bad, because it takes a lot to fix culture. It's more than just a wunderkind coach. They have just been so broken institutionally there for years. I don't know how they pull themselves out of it, frankly.
It takes a lot to be bad. That's what words to live by right there. Peter Bukowski joining us, host of Locked On Packers and Locked On Sports Today. Look at things in the NFC North as the training camps approach here and we take a tour around the league. So this division was stacked last year, and nonetheless, everybody's talking about Philly. Well, they should. They won the Super Bowl. And everybody's talking about Washington because that was a team that had found a way to get bad and stay bad. And they got new ownership, and they got really good. So, yeah, there are a lot of good teams in the North, but do you feel like those teams are elite teams in the NFC?
I think there is one elite team in the NFC this year, right now, and that's Philly. I think there's too many questions around Detroit, and the Packers have to prove that they belong in that conversation. I said before the season, I guess we're still before the season, right? But I said in the offseason, that if the Packers do end up making a run in the NFC, it will be because of their cohesion, because they're returning their offensive and defensive coordinators. Their offensive core is intact. All of their best skill position players, offensive linemen, defensive linemen, like they're basically the 22 starters essentially are coming back because Jair Alexander didn't play football for the Packers often enough over the last handful of seasons. But yeah, I see one great team, certainly from last year. It was the Lions and the Eagles. I think the Eagles have taken a step back. I think the Lions have taken a step back, but I have to give the edge to the Eagles. I don't see any great teams after that, but this changes so much year to year. Like in October, we might be talking about, a revitalized Caleb Williams. We might be talking about Jordan Love as an MVP candidate. Like the Devontae Adams might look like 2021 Devontae Adams, and the Rams might be 6-0 to start the year. So this can all change quickly, but I think right now Philadelphia is the one team where I go, they're in a tier by themselves, and then everyone else, there's probably 4 or 5 teams right after that vying for whatever's next.
For all fantasy football fans out there, do you like any of the skill position players in the North to break out? Any young people who've been off the radar and you think, get them now, 3rd, 4th, 5th round pick, going to play like a 1st or 2nd round pick? Who have you got?
This is the lowest price if you're a redraft guy or you're a best ball guy or girl. Tucker Kraft will never be as cheap as he is right now. I think this is a breakout season coming for Tucker Kraft, the tight end. They have talked all off season about trying to find more ways to get him the ball. Last year, he averaged over 9 yards after the catch per catch. That means every time you throw him the ball, he's basically going to get you a first down by sheer force of will. There were times last year he looked like a young George Kittle. And in the offseason, he spent a lot of time working on his body and working on his technique as a route runner. He wants to be able to get open and win one-on-one against man coverage. The Packers, I think, are going to give him those opportunities. And we've seen in these Shanahan tree offenses how big a role these tight ends can have. Look at George Kittle, for example. I think the Packers are starting to come around on the idea that Tucker Kraft can be that sort of player for them, whether he ever ascends to, George Kittle's maybe a future Hall of Famer, but whether he has that sort of skill set where he can give them everything they're looking for. 3rd and 6, he's your guy. 1st and 10, big play down the field, he's your guy too. I think all that is in front of Tucker Kraft. I think he could have a 70 catch, 850 yard, 10 touchdown type season this year.
All right, there's that tip. All right, last thing before we let you go. There's so much going on in the North, right? So many good teams, so many players, so many storylines. But honestly, in Green Bay, do they still stare at Aaron Rodgers from a distance like some ex that you just can't shake and think, what is he doing now? What is he saying now? Is he throwing a touchdown or a pick?
I think it is very much it is very much conflicted feelings for a lot of fans in Green Bay, because I think they relish that he didn't go on to do kind of what Brett Favre did and have this late career run where like he's one throw away from the Super Bowl. But I do think it does hurt fans to see him like this, to see him down as bad as he seems to be right now. The public perception to be as negative of him as it is. But this started late in his Green Bay run. The going on, Pat McAfee show and maybe taking jabs at players and coaches. I think there are a lot of Packer fans that were just ready for that to be over and who relish now Jordan Love, who seems like a very normal guy, a very cool guy, just relaxed. He just got married. The team seems to love him. The organization seems to love him. And while he's not as great a player as Aaron Rodgers, I think right now he is certainly a more likable player. So it's sort of like you're in a long-term relationship. It ends poorly. You kind of wish them well. And to the point that it's kind of sad to see them, to see what's happening to them now, because it is kind of sad.
Peter, we appreciate the time. Thanks for joining us and talking a little NFC North football.
All right, no problem.
Peter Bukowski, host of Locked On Packers and Locked On Sports Today. DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. This is a Win Tickets Wednesday. Caller 12 coming up in the 8 o'clock hour is going to win tickets to see The Offspring with special guest Jimmy Eat World and Newfound Glory at the Utah First Credit Union Amphitheater on September 6th. That's coming up in the 8 o'clock hour. Stick around for that. DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone.
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson.
One of the reasons this is happening, and they're now kowtowing to Luka, is they acquired him in such a weird way. Luka did not want to go to L.A. Luka wanted to be in Dallas his whole life and was surprised to end up in L.A. and may not want to be in L.A. So they are going to do everything they can to make Luka feel like a star. And they do have this issue of it's like you're trying to leave your wife for your girlfriend, and Luka's the girlfriend. They're like, don't worry, honey, I'm going to leave her. I'm going to leave LeBron for you.
She was like, I haven't even called her.
Yeah, just like,
I didn't even call her.
Christmas. I'm gonna leave her for you. It's gonna happen.
That's so funny.
But just like, you gotta wait a little bit. Just be cool. Be cool, Luka. I'm gonna leave her. Luka wants the commitment, and LeBron doesn't realize that he's the one being cheated on right now, that they're gonna leave.
Hear Jake Scott and Ben Anderson every day from 10 to noon on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
The band of the day today is The Offspring, brought to you by Live Nation. For all the live concerts events in 2025, check out livenation.com. And we'll be giving away tickets to see The Offspring as part of Win Tickets Wednesday coming up in the next hour. I saw the weirdest story out of Las Vegas. Now, how many times has that been said? I got the weirdest story from Las Vegas. Clubs, casinos, late night, booze.
Does this one involve a popular card game?
What?
Does this one involve a popular card game?
No, it does not.
Okay.
This involves one of the last things that I think of when I think of Las Vegas.
Okay, because there's another thing that's happening in Vegas. Is they're bringing Uno tables to casinos.
I have seen that, Uno tables. Hey, if they can get young people to gamble,
yeah, they're on it.
Somebody is like, oh, yeah, I played this as a kid. I'm really good.
I just can't wait for somebody to yell Uno and then to get hit with a +4 and suddenly lose that house payment.
Somebody played a little Uno growing up. I have a niece who went through a phase where she was addicted, so, yeah, I got to play some Uno. No, although that is odd. But how about this? Did you hear about Chesstival? Now, as soon as you hear that, like, DJ, what kind of a story is this?
What?
Chesstival.
No.
Yes.
But yes, with that name alone.
Right away, you're like, what kind of a story is this on a family radio station?
Easy.
Get out of the gutter, Yock. I'm tired of you and the way you're always... It's disgusting, Yock. It's a chess tournament. It's called Chestival. Like festival and chess.
Yeah,
Chestival.
But Chestival? They couldn't go Chessival?
So... Yahoo has a story on this. Apparently, there's a radio interview in the Bay Area that kind of. I didn't think this was well publicized. I can't honestly. ESPN would televise this and put this on the Ocho. So they have this chess tournament. NBA players and chess grandmasters partnering. Derrick Rose, the former MVP, and chess grandmaster and current world champion Magnus Carlsen. Hosted it. So what happens is you're in a two-person team. The NBA player is playing chess. The grandmaster is part of the team but can't move the pieces. All the grandmaster, they know the next move, right? They know chess. They call out the piece, and then the player has to figure out the appropriate move. And they have a tournament. It's got enough celebrity in it. If they got the right players in it, hey, everybody's looking for live programming. They were playing for like $25,000. They donated it to charity. And so it ended up the Warrior Center, Quentin Post, becomes the NBA chess champion. So how about that? Of all the things in Vegas, during NBA Summer League, hey, Saturday night, let's go watch Chesstival.
If you can draw eyeballs, do it. And
Whatever works. It's different.
Well, and Magnus Carlsen, he's kind of transcended chess in a way, but
they call it a headed hand tournament.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
You're standing there, you got the chess grandmaster's got the brain for the game, but the player has to make the moves.
They're calling out the piece and you got to figure it out.
Got to figure it out. Checkmated Harrison Ingram in the finals. All right. Well, that's kind of odd, but there you go. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, Brian Taylor, co-host of Real Golf Radio, joins us. That is next. The Open Championship. We'll run the draft by him and see who he likes. Who did we get right? Who did we get wrong? That's coming up next. Stay with us. DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. And we are joined now by Brian Taylor. Here to talk about the Open Championship. You hear him Saturday mornings with Bob Casper, Real Golf Radio here on The Zone. Brian, good morning.
Good morning, DJ. How's it going, man?
It is going well. The question for you is, how come these golf courses have Royal in front of them? Like, is this like, does the king and queen own this? Why do we have Royal in front of some courses and not others?
It's just a designation by the royal family. Huh? Once they designate it, then you've got it. So, yeah.
And so that's like a big deal in status, and you can charge more for tee times, and all the people who live around it are like, yeah, we're royalty.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like, when you get knighted or something. Now they can call you Sir Nick Faldo. Yeah, that kind of thing.
All right. Well, I'm glad we cleared that up. Thanks for joining us, Brian. Have a good week.
Hey, anytime. We'll see you next week.
Did you take anything away from watching the Scottish Open leading up to the British Open, link-style golf? Does it inform you as to what might happen this week? Because it looked like some of the big names were pretty comfortable out there on that course.
Yeah, it's interesting. We had, one of our guys on from Ireland, and we were asking that very question, and he kind of scoffed at it. It makes me laugh because I'm headed over to Scotland this fall, and I've talked to a lot of my friends in the media centers in the last few majors we've been to, and that live over in that across the pond and in the UK and whatnot. And whenever you bring up a course that's not like a true links course, but is sort of pretending to be a links course, it draws the ire of the purist, right? Like they're like, so last week at the Renaissance Club, it was almost like, this really isn't links golf. So I'm not really going to put much stock into what these guys are doing. Having said all that, I just found that to be kind of a funny sidebar. But what you do like to see is a guy like Rory McIlroy, who is, again, the story would have been the story of the year, still could be. But, what he did in April, you just thought this was going to be the Rory parade the rest of the year. And it wasn't. It hasn't been. So to see him in good form and finish runner-up last week, I thought that was my biggest takeaway is, seeing Rory playing well, and now he's coming here to Royal Portrush. I think 6 years ago, it was the first time it had been played in Northern Ireland since 1951. And so Rory was pretty amped up about it. He was a favorite, opportunity to win where I think he shot a 61 around here as a youth in a tournament and Northern Irish Open or something like that. And as like a 16-year-old. So like there was so many expectations. He triple bogeys, loses the ball in the first hole, makes triple bogey and has an emotional missed cut. And so I think you look at it, okay, now boom, after all that time, 6 years later, it returns to Royal Portrush. And then I think it's on a 10-year rotation the next time. So you look at Rory where he is right now, 10 years from now, he'll still be playing. He'll probably play well, but this is his chance, right? And so I think the pressure's on, and he's geared up for this one. And, boy, it would be a huge bookend for him to drop Portrush and Augusta completing the Career Grand Slam in the same year.
In 10 years, that he'll be in the phase where it would be, can he win one last? That'll be the talk then. This is in his wheelhouse.
Absolutely. This is the time. And so for Rory, look, everything's lined up for him. He's essentially taken the last 3 months off. That's not fair, but it almost feels like he's just tried to work through all that and he's motivated. I mean, you listen to his comments this week. He's geared up for this. He knows the importance of it. And I guess now it's about controlling the emotions, same way he had to at Augusta. We knew how badly he wanted to win the Masters. It had been 14 years or whatever of trying and being so close, and 10 years of trying to complete the career Grand Slam and, not having great success. And so all of that pressure was mounting. This is a little bit different, but the pressure is still there. And, he ought to be able to free will it, saying, hey, career Grand Slam, that just doesn't really matter kind of thought process, but we know it matters. And so now it's a matter of him being able to handle his emotions and be able to play his best golf. And, from what I saw last week, he's striking the ball well, seems to have figured the driver out, which was a big issue at the PGA. And so, here's to seeing what Rory might do. It'd be a hugely popular win. I think he's going to have a lot of competition. I think there's a lot of really good players that you could look at. I don't know if Rory would be my first pick this week, but, the odds makers like him right behind Scotty Scheffler.
I try to watch and read a lot prepping for the show. And, of course, the week of a major championship, try to put a lot of that focus on golf. And I read something that I had never heard. I can't believe I didn't know this. Did you know that Rory McIlroy signed, and it's really there's a double wow factor here, right? The first wow is, did you know that Rory McIlroy signed a letter of intent to play college golf in the United States?
I don't know if I knew that.
I did not know that. Now, I could give you 100 guesses, and I could give Yock 100 guesses, and I don't think you'd guess which school he signed with.
Dixie State.
So close.
Dang it.
East Tennessee State University.
That was close then. East Tennessee State?
So there's a story. Google Rory McIlroy, East Tennessee State University. You can read the whole story. But the shorthand of the story is that they got a golf coach who looked around and thought, I'm not getting the best kid in Tennessee. I'm not getting one of the top 10 golfers in Tennessee. But there's golfers in Europe, and somebody wants their kid to experience another country, another continent, and get a college education. And I'll bet that golfer's pretty good. I'm going to go find him. And so he started building a little pipeline, and he started to build a pipeline, and he found out about McIlroy, and I think McIlroy was like 13 or 14 when he heard of him. And he had him signed by 15 because by 15, I think it was Oklahoma State had heard and called the house. And they quote the mom in the story saying, and Rory yelled downstairs, tell him I'm not coming down to talk. I'm going to East Tennessee State. But ultimately, Rory as a junior just kept winning and winning and winning everything, and they all realized, he's going straight to the pros. So he never did. He never did enroll. He turned pro, but it opened up another spot for another kid there, and it's a great story if you love those kind of things. But I'm just like,
I love that.
How did we not know that Rory McIlroy almost went to East Tennessee State? I honestly, unless Yock looks it up and tells me in my ear, I don't even know their nickname. I mean, I know they're in Tennessee and they're probably in the eastern part of the state, and beyond that, I got nothing for you.
I can answer.
Is that the Chippewas?
Nope, that's Central Michigan. They are the Pirates. I can tell
Pirates.
I can tell you without even looking it up.
Well, that's weird. Why would you know that, Yock? I don't want to know why you know that.
Yock.
Yock knows all the teams that are pirate or pirate themed. It starts with the Raiders and the Bucks and the Pittsburgh Pirates, and he just goes from there.
I love that.
All right, so there's the Rory McIlroy. Were you surprised that Scheffler was the number one odds on this? You got somebody else you're really liking, and people are just reflexively throwing Scheffler's name out there because, why not? He's him.
Well, no, I mean, I'm not surprised, right? I mean, to your point, you look at the statistics, and he basically leads, professional golf in the world in every major statistical category, and he's just that good. He's a rare talent that we don't see that often, and he's got the window is still open. One of the things that's so interesting in this game is you could have said that about Jon Rahm 2 years ago. You could have said it about Brooks Koepka 3 years ago. You could have said it about Jordan Spieth 10 years ago. Like everybody, like when they do these things where you start to compare them to the greats, where they are winning, prolifically the way that you see what Scotty Scheffler has done over the last 2.5 years, that it's how long will that window stay open? That's the fascinating thing to me. The windows are there for guys. Sometimes it's a week, sometimes it's a month, sometimes it's a year. And when you look at how short some of those windows are, for some of what we would consider the top players in the game, it only sheds more light on how massively impressive Tiger Woods was to be able to keep that window open for an entire decade and to go through the various swing changes, the multiple surgeries and everything, and still be able to win at that clip. So to have that window open. Right now, Scheffler's window's wide open. Rory, it felt like his window had shut. And he's pried it back open, probably punched it open at Augusta and came, charging through. And yet it's been disappointing since that time. So I look at that. I mean, Justin Thomas is another one. There was a guy that the window seemed to be open and shut pretty quickly, all too quickly, and he's kind of starting to work his way back into form. When I'm looking at the players, one of the things golfstats.com is a great website that I use. Sal Johnson used to be a regular guest on our show. He's back east, and he's the statistician at Augusta and all these. He's done stats his whole life. He's just kind of that guy. And so he this week, giving the information that they received from Portrush, which is only just the one event back in 19, plus the recent Open Championship, different venues, he went through 4 statistical categories that he thought were important to winning at Portrush. And they sound kind of elementary, but strokes gained off the tee. There's 57 massive bunkers. You got to stay out of that and the deep hay, right? So obviously giving yourself a chance off the tee. 2, strokes gained approach the green. Sure. Okay, now we're talking fairways and greens, pretty straightforward. And then, you're going to miss some greens. And so you got these interesting slopes there at Portrush. So how are you going to navigate that? So strokes gained around the green. And then 4th was strokes gained putting. And I think while all of that sounds super elementary, it's the fact that the putting is the 4th one. And he cited in his stats that you look at a guy, like Shane Lowry, who won last time, he's always been a terrific ball striker, pretty good driver, not a great putter. And so and I've listened to a few different people talk about this week, that Portrush is a place where you can kind of hide an okay putter, right? You don't have to be the best putter. Like at Augusta, you're going to have a good putting week. U.S. Open, with the way they firm those greens out, oftentimes, it comes down to putting. And so this one, though, it's a little bit more of managing it around and getting it onto the surface. Greens are going to be a little bit slower than other major championships. So, those types of things, you can be a little more aggressive with the putter. I just found that to be interesting. Now, add all those together. He assigned weight values to them. Scheffler 1, Rory 2, and then it's a pretty decent drop to Tommy Fleetwood 3, and then an even bigger drop goes down to Justin Thomas and Russell Henley rounding out the top 5. Interestingly enough, Ben Griffin, who is sort of a small story this year, but he's been winning. And with the glasses, you've seen that story. Jordan is 6, Jordan Spieth is 7, Keegan Bradley, the Ryder Cup captain, 8, Cantlay 9, and Sepp Straka 10, who was my pick coming in. I think Sepp Straka could surprise some people. The more interesting thing is Jordan Spieth. Jordan Spieth is not getting a whole lot of attention, but here's some stuff. You okay if I go into a little Jordan Spieth spiel for a sec?
Speaking of windows that have been slammed shut, go ahead.
Okay. I realize I'm rambling on here, so you can cut me off at any point in time. It is your show, but so here's Jordan Spieth. You look at the guys that, Rory, for instance, has played 15 Opens. You know how many times he's missed the cut? 3. Dustin Johnson's played 15. Missed cut? 3. Jason Day's played 12. He's missed 2. Koepka 10. He's missed 2. Tommy Fleetwood 10. He's missed 4. And then you start looking at some of the guys that are perfect. Cam Young, 3 for 3. Scheffler, 4 for 4 with 2 top 10s. Xander, 7 for 7. And how about Jordan Spieth? He's played 11. How many missed cuts? 0. Right? And so Jordan Spieth, for all of the challenges that he's had over the last decade since he won in 2017, he has 5 top 10s, and 3 of those have come since he won. He hasn't been outside of the top 25 since he won back in 2017. So that's one where I'm just like, that sort of put me in the threw me for a little bit of a loop, because you almost don't even talk much about Jordan Spieth anymore, and yet he gets over there and that little chicken wing swing or the little quirkiness that he has or the struggle with the putter kind of doesn't matter. He just finds a way to keep it in play and get around the golf course. So for the Spieth fans out there, we'll see what Jordan can do this week.
The draft, feel free to judge. Now, Bob had the first pick, and we got a new rule. You can only pick a guy once a year. Because the drafts were getting boring. It's just picking Scheffler and Rory over and over, and then they win. And PK's sitting there third like, well, yeah, I didn't win. I never had a chance. The champ was off the board before, So just to mix it up, you can't pick someone you've already picked, right? So you've got to pick judiciously. Bob took Fleetwood out with the first pick, which off the stats you just shared, you like that pick.
I think that's a good pick, yeah. I finished runner-up back in 2019 here at Portrush.
I took Rory second because I haven't drafted Rory this year.
Hey, I think why wouldn't you pick? Like I said, top two are Scheffler and Rory, and if you've already picked Scheffler, then you probably go Rory.
Well, everyone had picked Scheffler, so we couldn't pick him. We've all taken him in one tournament this year. One of us took him in the correct tournament. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
I knew to pass on him in the Masters. He didn't play early in the year. He wasn't Scheffler yet.
It's true. He put a glass through his hand for Christmas. So yeah,
yeah, right. And then PK took Shane Lowry to wrap up the first round. You like Shane Lowry?
Okay. All right, that's pretty good. I mean, it would be quite the story for Lowry to go, back to back at Portrush, but Lowry he's put his nose in there a few times this year and kind of gotten heartbroken. So at the Masters, he was right there and wasn't able to get it done. And coming off that, he said, by the way, Shane Lowry's like one of the coolest dudes out there. Like he's just a guy that you'd want to sit down and chat with. You'd want to play around a golf. You'd want whatever. Like he's just a fun guy to root for. So yeah, I like Shane. His game's been pretty good. He's obviously got to have all the feels coming back here on a place that he won, and why not? I mean, Rory knocked him out at Augusta. Maybe he'll turn the tables on Rory this week and pick up a second claret jug here.
I liked what you said about Ben Griffin earlier in the segment and Sepp Straka, but I've drafted them both already earlier this year, so they were off the board for me in this one.
So they're off the board entirely, not just first pick.
Right. You got to come up with new guys. Okay. Bob took Victor Hovland. I took J.J. Spawn, and PK took Justin Rose. I took Rose at the Masters. I couldn't take Rory because Bob took him off the board right out of the gate. So I went with Justin Rose. Those are my two good picks. I've had some disastrous
Rose
picks.
Is always a good one at the Masters.
But Rose at the Masters, right? And he was there on the final day. He was there, but he was there coming down the stretch. But it was always something funky was going to happen for him to actually win. You're close. You're there, but you need something from
playoff, right?
Need something from Bizarre War. I know, but he was always chasing. It was never his, right?
Yeah.
And so, and then Sepp Straka for Bob. I took Ryan Fox, and PK took Colin Morikawa. And there you go.
Oh wow! So tell me your three.
Rory McIlroy, J.J. Spawn, and Ryan Fox.
Interesting. Okay.
Well, and I've got a lot of guys off the board. A lot of them you're like, you should have drafted this guy, you should have drafted that guy. Well, I can't now, Ludwig Over, I already took him. I'd taken Morikawa before, so I had to pass on him all three times. So
that's probably a good pass. I mean, the guy hasn't won in a couple of years. He does have an Open Championship, but he hasn't won since then. So he's probably one of the biggest surprises this year. He and Xander both. Xander coming off two majors last year and kind of has got blanked this year. Just hasn't really played well at all, and he's a bit of a surprise. So I guess Xander's probably been picked already, and probably good to pass on him.
Xander Schauffele is Bob's because we still have the regional draft picks, and because he went to San Diego State and Bob grew up in San Diego, he gets Xander, so we don't get to draft him.
Oh, he still gets him.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I have Tony because my kid went to West High, and Tony went to West High, and PK has John Rahm because they both went to Arizona State, which when PK gave himself Rahm, I was pretty irritated, but Rahm's championship window has been slammed shut by big bags of money. So, yeah, there you go. Now he's stuck with Rahm, and Rahm's out there being frustrated.
Rahm's a pretty popular pick this week.
It does look like maybe it's all mental, right? 90% of the game is mental and the other half's between your ears, the old Yogi Berra quote. And
Love it.
He signed with Liv, and then he regretted it, and it messed with his head, and it messed with his game, and it does seem like maybe slowly but surely he's pulling it together a little bit here.
Yeah, I think he's had top 15s in the three majors so far, and
which used to be a disappointment for him because he was so awesome.
That's true.
Right?
That's a good point.
15th. A bad week for John Rahm. We said a few years ago.
That's actually good. That's good context. He does have a lot of good success here. I think he was runner-up a couple of years ago at the Open too. So he's played well in links golf, but I think you're right. I think that move to Live kind of messed with his routine, his schedule. I mean, you all know the comments. I mean, he was hardcore on, no amount of money could change my life. I'm all about history. I'm all about, legacy, all that kind of stuff. And then boom, he's got a Letterman jacket on. And so.
Yep. Well, never say never, right? I would never live in Florida. Here's $1 billion. I'm moving to Florida. I mean, it's just like, don't, as my uncle told me once, don't make dramatic statements. It just makes retreat much harder later on. So it doesn't really matter what the topic is.
$1 billion to move to Florida?
It's just a random example. Yeah. No, I would probably move for $500 million. Who are we kidding? Yock's looking at me right now. Dude, you'd move for $1 million. Don't kid yourself.
Somebody bought you a house, you'd move, wouldn't you?
Yock's not even making eye contact. Says, dude, you know your price is way lower than that.
By the way,
yeah,
I said it was the East Tennessee State Pirates. It's the Buccaneers.
See, Yock? I don't even have to look.
It's a different name for a pirate.
But I love your honesty. Way to come clean, because I wasn't even going to check you on that. All right.
Nobody was going to check that.
Yeah, go read that Rory McIlroy story.
You'd be surprised. I literally got a DM about it.
Oh, you did? That's funny. That's funny. Go read that story. That was interesting stuff about college golf and Rory. And I know you're way into that. Yeah, it's a little nugget for the show on Saturday. There you go.
I appreciate that.
All
Will
right.
do, for sure.
Yeah, and don't tell Bob. I won't tell Bob. You can surprise him. See if he knows.
He won't know.
Okay. All right.
Nobody would know that. I think you're going to win some money. I think you're going to win some drinks at the bar on that one.
Okay. Thanks, Brian.
Okay. Thanks, DJ.
Brian Taylor, co-host Real Golf Radio, Saturday mornings with Bob Casper right here on The Zone. Coming up next, Scotty G from Mountain West Conference Media Day. The Mountain West and the SEC going head-to-head. Scotty's in Vegas. He will join us next, the voice of the Aggies. Stay with us. It's a Win Tickets Wednesday. We got tickets to see The Offspring, Jimmy Eat World, Newfound Glory, Utah First Credit Union Amphitheater, September 6th. We'll give those tickets away in about 25 minutes right here on The Zone.
Accessing.
This is Hans Olsen and Scotty G.
You don't need to get an associate AD from Florida State University who's got no ties to the community, but, he raised this much money at Florida State because he's going to come in thinking he's got a Florida State budget. Guess what? We've met a lot of P5 athletic directors, and a lot of them are duds.
Yeah.
They don't need some dude from a big school who's got this crazy resume because he's going to come in and think that he's got to run it like Ohio State, or he's got to run it like Florida State, or he's got to run it like Michigan. But he doesn't have that money, so he doesn't know how to adapt. He doesn't know how to stretch a dollar. He doesn't know how to do all these things because he's just used to throwing money at problems. Well, you can't do that at Utah State.
So you've done that now. It's not working.
Catch Hans and Scotty weekdays from noon to 3 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5, The Zone. We're joined now by Scott Garrard. Scotty G, good morning.
Good morning, DJ. How are you?
I'm good. And you're at the Mountain West Conference Football Media Days in Vegas, so you're good.
Yes, sir. And it is a beautiful, balmy 105 degrees right here in Vegas right now. So
it's 105 this early in the morning, or 105 will be the high today?
It is. According to the phone, it is 103 right now with a high expected of 109.
Why do people live there? And my cousin lived there. My cousin lived there for a while because she married a guy who was in the Nevada National Guard, and he got transferred there, so they had to go. So that answered the question. What are they doing that for? Oh, okay. Well, they've got to do that. But they had a little kid at that point, and the kid couldn't play on the swing set because you get burned.
You get burnt.
Literally. Yeah. It'd be ointments, hospital, crying, tears, bandage. Yeah. It's like, nope, no play, nope, not from, I don't know what it was, May to September or something. Yeah. Banned. Swing set just sat there in the backyard. Crazy story.
Yeah, hard pass on that.
Right? All right, let's get right to it. We just heard a promo where you were talking about not bringing in an assistant athletic director. Been there, done that, from some enormous university where they just throw money at problems. Now, that made sense to me, and it made sense to Hans, who agreed with you. But here's the problem, Scotty. There's no president. There's no AD. The basketball coach is in the second year. The football coach is in the first year. You realize you are institutional memory at Utah State. It's you. Everybody else is gone.
I know.
You.
And that's why I'm willing to take over, maybe not full-time athletic director, but I will sit in as interim and hold the reins until they get a new president, and then he can bring in his or her guy as the new athletic director. But from an interim standpoint, I think Nate would allow me to do both the show. I can do the Doug Gottlieb thing where I can host a radio show and also have another full-time job and be mediocre at both. And so, yeah, I think that I can handle that.
We call it doing the Gottlieb. That was nice, Scotty. Well played.
Yes. Yeah. No, it's and by the way, DJ, this is the second time in 2 years they've had that, where they've had a interim president and an interim athletic director, and it's just, I mean, for the timing, I mean, you did this 10 years ago, that would be rough. Now, in this landscape of college athletics, it's almost like, it feels like a death sentence. You're going to get left behind if you're not being proactive, if you're not taking steps to ensure you're some level of stability or some level of aggression to make sure that you're raising as much money as you possibly can, that you're active as much as you can at Utah State's level in the NIL and the collective front. Like, you have to be actively pushing forward or you're going backwards. And this just, the timing of this is just not great.
So we had the story during What is Trending about mediation between the Pac-12 and the Mountain West failed after the two conferences couldn't reach a settlement agreement over $55 million in poaching fees. And we know that there's 3 lawsuits that, depending on if they win or lose or if there's settlement, there's potentially big payments out there. Can the Aggies withstand these lawsuits, whether it's individuals or institutions, while they have to raise money? Or are they driving into a big old financial cul-de-sac here, of which there is no immediate way out except backwards the way you came?
Well, I do believe that there was some level of, okay, what's the worst case scenario if we make this jump into the Pac-12?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that there was that risk assessment that you do, and they felt, and I'm certainly not privy to those conversations, but they felt some level of confidence that, worst case scenario, we could handle it. Whereas you got Air Force and UNLV who looked at it and said, okay, worst case plus best case, in which they get a truckload of cash from the Mountain West to stay, they felt like it was in their best interest to stay. So I would like to believe that Utah State, and in the conversations I've had, have done their due diligence and know, okay, so let's say the courts do not go our way, and now this appears to be going to trial after mediation failed. Mm-hmm. So what is that worst case scenario if it does not go our way? And apparently they feel like they could handle that kind of a blow. That could be as you mentioned, a massive blow financially. But I always go back to a situation that you told me a long time ago, mm-hmm. Because we had somebody run into studio once and say, Real Salt Lake's leaving. They're leaving. They're going. Yeah. And you said, things always find a way to work themselves out. And I don't think either conference wants this to go to discovery. They don't want 100%. This to go to trial.
Now you've said it. There it is, 100%. And they never won.
I think ultimately they're going to find a way to resolve this, and the big winner will be the billable hours.
Billable hours are undefeated. Billable hours are not impacted by father time either. That's father time can't beat billable hours.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, what you said about discovery, it's the thing with these lawsuits is that usually everybody has made mistakes or behaved poorly or, whatever is going on and doesn't want all the dirty laundry aired. And usually nobody has pristine shorts. So usually it gets settled.
Yep.
Having said that, I think you and I both know there's some people in lawsuits who maybe think they have pristine shorts and don't want to settle. Now, I don't know if they're right or if they're wrong. It's like you said, you only have so much information, right? But I got to say, I've heard enough. I'm wondering if there's one exception to every rule and if I'm about to watch it.
Yeah, well, you might. I don't know. I mean, just looking at this, I don't know who has pristine shorts in this one.
Not in this one. This
all
would
over
be,
the place.
This in the conference thing. I think you're right. There's skid marks all over the place. But with some of the individuals, they don't seem to have possibly more than one. Don't seem to don't want to settle. Now maybe it's all posturing. Maybe they're going to settle tomorrow. I don't know. I realize I'm the media and people, are going to tell you what you want to tell you. I just think Utah State could be on the hook for a lot of money at the time that they need to raise a lot of money to compete. I saw the list of the teams and what all the schools make, and it's like, yikes. Aggies have ground to make up. Washington State's got more money. Oregon State's got more money. Boise State's got more money. San Diego State's got, you just go down the list.
You're not wrong.
Okay.
I mean,
all right,
that's
in the future. We'll leave that out there. Let's get to the football for now. It's just starting. What do you know about the Mountain West, or all the notes you have from last year? Just throw them out because basically 60 players on every team transferred anyway. So these are all new teams almost every year.
Well, yeah. I mean, you look at Utah State, for example, and I feel more confident talking about court litigation than I do about what this team's going to look like, because it feels like it's that opening scene in Major League where the groundskeepers are like, "Who are these guys?" Like everybody's just standing around. Like there's 87 new players on this team, and Bronco kept it very close to the vest in spring ball because he didn't want a Kyle Whittingham situation wherein Kyle comes out and says, "Oh yeah, this guy's our number one receiver going into fall," and then 2 days later he's in the portal. And whether that's paranoia or not, I mean it's reality of the world we're living in right now. So Bronco closed off spring. So I don't know. Like I would love, and I think I've come on your show a couple times and said, frankly, I don't know. They're picked 9th, and they could finish 12th or they could finish 1st. Who knows? It could be that kind of a year because everybody has massive turnover. You're right. 87's high, but probably 55 to 65 is the norm now. And it's just a huge turnover. You can't look and say, okay, well, this guy who played as a freshman got a little bit better as a sophomore. Now he's coming into his junior year, could be taking a big jump. That just doesn't happen anymore. You got to go with Boise State just because they've got a returning quarterback in the Madsen kid. And so, that's a no-brainer. You pick them first, and then after that, I mean, San Jose State was picked 3rd in the conference. UNLV's picked 2nd. What kind of a world are we living in right now? But that's the reality. Nobody knows what they've got on their hands here.
Why can't San Diego State and Fresno State get their act together? That's the way the universe is supposed to be ordered. And nonetheless,
I know, right?
I don't know about Fresno, but man, San Diego looks like they're a long way away. I would like to be wrong about that, but they look like they're a long way away.
If they get anybody to show up to that new stadium.
Well, would you show up to watch that team?
Nope.
Yeah, there you go. And scene. Are there any breakout players in the league, or were they all stripped from the rosters, or previous comments about you just don't know?
Yeah, I think the last. I mean, we knew as soon as you go down the list and when Madsen said he was going to come back, then you're like, okay, all right, there's stability at quarterback for Boise State. When Ike Larson said he was going to come back, that's stability, hopefully, in the defensive backfield for Utah State. Same with Bryson Barnes as well. At least you got guys that have been through the trenches a little bit with their respective teams. So I do think that there's some stabilization out there, but again, I'm looking at the list of players into the media days today, and I was like, okay, I don't know much about this guy. I've had to do way more research on the players than I normally do, because usually you have a body of work, and in some cases you just don't, and you anticipate that these guys are going to be good, but frankly, you just don't know. I mean, it's really, I mean, that's why, I know the 60 and 60 has been, it's for entertainment purposes, but it was also done to allow Hans and I to do a little bit more research on players, and we had to essentially just disband the whole thing and do a ranking at the end of the season, because there's no way you can rank the top 60 players in the state of Utah right now. I mean, even if you're doing it, even if you're missing wildly, you still don't know. There's no body of work with these guys, and the transfers are coming in. I fully anticipate that you'll see more transfers being added in fall camp, because I know the transfer portal window is officially closed, but you've got that other window that's going to open up, and it's essentially a waiver wire. So there might be more players being added before it's all said and done. You just don't know what you have until you're game 2 or 3 into the season.
You've heard me talk way too many times for way too long about these teams ought to be selling themselves, and I can't believe they're shutting themselves down like this. This is crazy. And I think it's obvious it is crazy, some of the stuff that's happened. And then I hear Bronco, and I think he's not paranoid. It really isn't a mix of paranoia and reality. It really is reality.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Because if you have a spring game, if you're an opposing coach, like if you're in the Big 12, okay, you're Iowa State, for example, and you need a defensive tackle, and you're in a bad spot, and you had 2 injuries in spring. I'm telling my coaching staff, you go watch every spring game you possibly can in this country, and you go find me a defensive tackle. And so these guys are out there scouting. They're watching every spring game, and they see some guy from UTEP that just can't be blocked. And they're like, okay, who's his high school coach? Do you know him? All right, well, reach out and say we got a spot for him. Boom, 2 days later, he's in the transfer portal. You'd be silly to think that's not going on, because it is going on. And frankly, if you think your school is clean in that, you're wrong. We talk about where all the skid marks are. Everybody's got them. Everybody's got bodies in it that are buried somewhere. So if you think your school is high and mighty and not doing stuff like that, you're wrong, because you're not doing your job, frankly, if you're not cheating when it comes to this right now.
I believe that we just have to go back to The Godfather. It isn't personal. Strictly business.
Yes. Oh, no, it's business.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you don't do it, you're going to end up losing, and you end up getting fired. So you better go do it. And the SEC schools are looking at the Big 12 schools, and the Big 12 schools are looking at the Mountain West schools, and the Mountain West schools are looking at the Big Sky schools, and right on down the line. And sometimes, as we've seen with BYU, the Big 12 schools are looking at the Big Sky schools. And there's NFL players that come out of Big Sky schools. So if they're good enough for the NFL, they're good enough for you, even if you're Ohio State.
Well, I mean, who's, frankly, arguably BYU's best defensive player is Jack Kelly, who in 5 years ago would probably still be at Weber State right now.
Right. Yeah. There you go. All right, Scotty. Well, you soak up those 109-degree temperatures and wonder where Utah State's going to get all the money they need and the president they need and the AD they need, but at least they got the radio guy they need.
Well, I appreciate that. They did say in an effort to raise money, they did ask if I would make a phone call to you, because we all know that there's, when it comes to the hierarchy of financial status in the state of Utah, there is, Jim Lobb, a couple others, and then David James. So
paycheck is why I live in Utah.
I know. And if you need to, get a tax shelter or some write-offs, just know that there's a place for you.
You saved a school $600,000?
$600,000.
Wow. That is impressive. I was stunned into silence by that, and I'm rarely stunned into silence. $600,000.
Well done, Yock.
$600,000. Oh, he's got those on speed dial. Are you kidding me? That's nothing.
I got a big TV.
Well, he's well compensated.
And all that money flies straight to UC Santa Barbara. How do you think?
Oh, yeah, compensated at the Yin Yang, yeah.
How do you think UC? How do you
My
think,
Yin Yang is what? Completely compensated.
I'd forgotten about that one. Why do you think UC Santa Barbara has the number 2 pick in the Major League Baseball draft? You know where the money's going. It's not going to the Aggies. It's going to the Gauchos.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that's fair enough.
Number 2 pick. Probably wash out.
You get to live in Santa Barbara, too.
Awesome. Good gig, except for the fog in June. But, aside from that, it's not 109 there. All right, Scotty, we appreciate the time as always. Thank you.
Thanks, DJ.
All right, Scotty G checking in from Mountain West Media Days, and he will be on the air at noon today. Ian Hands, getting you up to date on everything going on. More college football. And we got more college football coming up here before the end of the show. We also have Win Tickets Wednesday. PK stopping by?
Claims he's got a story that we need to hear right away.
All right. So is he in the very next segment or at 9 o'clock next?
Supposedly next segment.
All right, there it is. PK's next. So are the tickets for Win Tickets Wednesday. DJ and PK. It's 97.5 The Zone.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I present...
This is JJ and Alex.
It's official. Jake Retzlaff himself putting it out there on social media. Withdrawals from the school. He's not transferring. He's going to enroll someplace else. So
as they walk on.
There's the loophole. Does Jake Retzlaff start on a football team at the FBS level in 2025?
I think it's too late. Now, could he find a place where he could eventually play during the season? Sure. I said on this show, he'll never play at BYU again. He'll never play another down at BYU. All the baggage that's now been created around this, it's the smart thing for him to just move on. And it's best for BYU for him to move on.
Same.
And now they can go all in. Okay, McKay's our guy. Trayson's our guy. It's time. It's bear time. You start trying to figure out who your guy is. They can move on now. And he can move on. Everybody knows that Jake Retzlaff is no longer at BYU and that BYU is going to find another quarterback this fall.
Catch JJ and Alex afternoons from 3 to 6. Presented by G2G Bars on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
DJ PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. PK's on vacation, and yet he's still here. Good morning, Patrick Kinahan.
Hey, I got a couple of funny little vignettes that I wanted to share.
All right. Do it.
Last night, I'm at a funeral service for John Colosimo. He's a longtime educator at Judge Memorial, Juan Diego, football coach at Juan Diego. Lived a great life, absolutely. So I wanted to do my part and go over and honor him, know the family a little bit. His daughter works for Kyle at Utah football. And so we're going through the line, right? And his son, Gabe, as I'm going through the line, he says, "Oh, PK, man, this is so great that you're here. Every day my father would take me to high school, and he's a little hard of hearing, but every day we listen to DJ and PK, and that's what I grew up on. And he'd drop me off, and I'd start to walk, and I'd get away, get near the office or the building into the main entrance. But, he had it on so loud that I could still hear it as I was going into the building. And really appreciate you coming and John's wife, Kathy, and his two daughters. It's really humbling, right? Because they're complimenting me at a time of great need for them, right? As you can imagine, their husband and father had just passed a few days earlier, right? So, and then John's brother, Joe, comes up to me and starts talking to me about it, and it's just I felt uncomfortable. I don't like attention on me anyway, and then to have it at that time. But I was just reflective the whole night, right? As this man who lived this great life and passed, and then you listen to what Scotty Scheffler was talking about yesterday at the British Open about what does this all mean? What's the point? I assume you heard that and what he said there. And, got me thinking, I'm a big shot, but, for some people, well, what does it mean? So I got all that. And then this morning I wake up early again. I go, I'm going to go to the gym. And guy comes up to me, "Hey, PK, you're not doing a show today?" I said, "No, I got a couple days off." And he said, "Oh, man, I stopped listening, man. It got really boring."
That's your story? Okay. Yuck, what just happened there? I feel like we were deprived of a punchline. Lloyd walked in. Lloyd just walked into the studio. Lloyd, give me that look again. You there, PK?
Yeah.
I think the timing got ruined there.
Oh, where did it drop?
The show was, yeah.
Yeah. At the gym this morning?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And the guy says, I said, "No, I'm taking a couple days off." And he says to me, "Yeah, man, I stopped listening because the show got really boring."
Thanks, PK.
And that was a blow. So I had the high of yesterday in a difficult circumstance to this morning. So you never know what's out there. And if you listen to Scotty Scheffler, man, I assume you listened to that. Did you, DJ?
Yeah. What is the point of it all? Yes.
Yeah.
I know. And one person thinks it's boring when their team loses, and someone else thinks it's exciting when their team wins.
It's just. So I also wanted to pay tribute to John Colosimo too, and his the funeral mass is at 11 o'clock this morning. We won't be able to attend that, but what a great,
a real institution among high school football coaches. You know,
absolutely,
and they're each important in their community, right? And I'm somebody in Utah County or Davis County be kind of shrugging it, but there's somebody like him that has that impact to the schools in those counties.
Yeah, no question. Around the country, for sure.
Yeah, you can, I'm sure, list people like that down in Arizona.
Oh, no question. Yeah, a guy named Jesse Parker. Some Arizona people may know him.
So,
longtime football coach there.
I had 3 different coaches in 4 years of high school basketball. And the guy who coached when I was in 10th grade, I was on JV, was the varsity coach when I was a senior. So I got 2 years with him. And I think about stuff he says all the time. All the time. And I mean, I heard him more than I heard the other 2 guys, right? So, and I assume that a lot of people who played sports have that. You know, that you and Yak have a coach you listen to. And it sticks.
Yeah. I listen to my coaches that say, don't plan on a career in athletics. So that helped me get to where I am. Yeah, you're right. Exactly right.
Even though apparently we bored that one guy at the gym. But it doesn't matter. As long as he listened for a few years and then someone filled in for him. This guy told me once, it doesn't matter who you don't have. It matters who you do.
Well, he did say that because he'll start listening again when football starts.
We definitely have people follow each season. We have people who want to hear the Jazz and don't want to hear college football. They're not in college sports. We absolutely get that.
And he did ask me, how do I think the U of U is going to do?
Now you're talking.
And since he told me that he thought the show had gotten boring, I told him they were going to suck.
Except you don't believe that. You're playing radio even when you're not on the radio.
No, I didn't say that. I said they're going to be just fine.
8 if things go okay, but 10 if it goes great, right?
Yeah. I said, no, don't worry about it. Everything that last year was just a blip. Just relax. Go about your workout, and I'll get over crying because you said that.
The show got boring.
You did say the station rather than the show.
Way to play it up for us. Yeah.
So I felt a little bit better.
I'll bet he didn't think the station/show was boring when they were going to the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, you got me there.
These last couple of years have really got boring. Oh, okay. So when they win 11, 12 games in 1 year, it's exciting. But, when it takes 2 years to win 13 games, that's your show's boring.
If you were a BYU fan last season, would have been awesome. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. BYU fans.
So there you go. That's my little vignette
That's
story.
It, yeah. People are telling you you're awesome. People are telling you you're terrible. Have you ever heard that cliche? You're never as good as people tell you are, and you're never as bad as people tell you are?
I heard the first part of it a lot, not so much the second.
There you go.
All
right, PK. Enjoy your time off.
All right. Talk to you later. Bye.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. Yak, you want to give away tickets? It's a Win Tickets Wednesday. Caller 12. 801-575-ZONE. Wins a pair of tickets to see The Offspring, special guest Jimmy World, and Newfound Glory at the Utah First Credit Union Amphitheater, September 6th. Free concert tickets right now. Caller 12. Let's go. DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone.
Nominate the youth sports volunteer that you know for the Hercules Hero of the Week. Submit your nomination at kslsports.com/contest and listen every Thursday afternoon to JJ and Alex for the winner. Help us celebrate the efforts of those volunteers making an impact with the Hercules Hero of the Week, sponsored by Hercules First Federal Credit Union and Beehive Meals.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. The Utah Jazz back in action tonight in Las Vegas against the Washington Wizards. Now we're getting, 5-6 games deep into this thing here now? Well, except for the players who have only played 2 games. I feel like I've pretty much learned everything I'm going to learn. Am I going to learn anything new now? These last 2 games they play tonight. If Ace Bailey plays, I might. I don't think he will. I haven't seen anything definitive yet.
He was questionable last game.
Right. And there have been reports he's day-to-day, so they could bring him back. But it seems like once someone's listed as day-to-day, they're really cautious with him, and now there's only 2 games left. And
well, it was something that I think it was Ben pointed out yesterday on Jake and Ben, is that you look at that Jazz roster for the Summer League, DJ, they've had a lot of guys. R.J. Luis, the kid from St. John's, hasn't played a single minute, even though he's on a 2-way contract already. They've had a lot of guys on this roster, not play a lot or not play at all, which has been very curious.
You got to have guys on the roster, but they have got to develop their draft picks.
Sure.
And usually teams don't have 3 draft picks, followed by 3 draft picks, followed by 3 draft. So they got a lot of guys to play who they are heavily invested in. And so if you're on a 2-way, or even if you're not, but your agent is tight and they're trying to do you a solid, like, well, yeah, but they're not going to sit Filipowski, and they're not going to sit Ace Bailey unless he's hurt. And they're playing those guys big minutes trying to develop them. So I get it. And it sucks for those guys who aren't playing. And when you see the people at the games, I always wonder how many of those are international scouts. That foreign clubs are over here knowing full well that once you get past the first 2, 3, 4 guys on most of these teams, you get guys who they're going to be interested in the money from foreign teams. Absolutely. So how many scouts are sitting there waiting to see these guys play? And maybe some of these guys, this is what the last game or 2 is for. And the reason I play so many Summer League games, to keep the business of the NBA and international basketball going. And it doesn't mean that we find it fascinating now. Filipowski, crushing it. Don't think he can convince me of anything otherwise. Cody Williams looks better, doesn't look nearly good enough. But it's progress, and don't dump on the teenagers too much. Man, once you raise kids that age, you're like, you look at it totally differently. I can remember going to games thinking, I'm an 8-year-old thinking, oh, that 22-year-old, that's a grown man. And now I'm looking at 29-year-olds in the NBA going, they're still kids. I do look at people differently once they turn 25. There's somehow there's a marker in my mind. There's more of a grown-up phase. And until then, you're still growing. There's still hope. And, there's no point in crushing Cody Williams. If he doesn't pan out, he doesn't pan out. He's clearly working at it, as you can see the difference in his body. And he's also clearly not there yet. But, hey, keep working at it. Get better every day. One day you look up and you're pretty good. We'll see if that works for Cody Williams. I get why they shut down Sensabaugh. We're not seeing him anymore. So Sensabaugh, Filipowski, Kessler. All right, there's 3 guys who can play. Collier looks to me pretty predictably better because he's played a little more and because he's more experienced than some of the guys he's going against. And he knows, you see him go to the rim sometimes now, and it's like he just knows there's no NBA quality. These 7-footers around. He's back in his comfort zone. It's like being in college basketball again. All right. It's a little different in the NBA regular season, man. There's 7-footers lurking. There's a 7-footer over there. There's a 6'10" guy over there. You got to be careful going to the hoop. The floor's got to be spread just right. I saw a story on Markkanen today. There's a story out. ESPN did a whole story on
it. Came out yesterday afternoon, yeah.
You saw it yesterday afternoon. There's a whole story out about the second apron, when it became a thing, how it hit at first when the rule was passed, or the CBA was agreed to in 23, and then how it landed in 24 after it kicked in and salaries kicked up for another year. And it was the perfect rule to slow down the Jazz rebuild, because veterans and the money, and they've got unnamed executives in there saying the quickest way to slow yourself is to bring in a veteran on big money. And they brought in like how Durant moved to Phoenix and then how he left Phoenix and how dramatically different things are. And they got a whole list of all the teams that are immediately in second apron territory, the teams that have moved there, and the teams that are about to move there. And they're basically acting like they're there. And it's why the Jazz got, relatively speaking, nothing for John Collins and nothing for Sexton. And 4 years ago, those guys would have had some value. When Sexton signed that 4-year deal, he had some value. So the rules change underneath you, and you just have to adapt. But that rule, that second apron deal, that did not help the Jazz. Hard cap, really slow your roll. The number of ways you can make a trade happen have been limited. So they got to develop these young guys. They got to be all in. Because we are already saying, well, free agency, that's not really the way to go. Now our trade's the way to go. How easy is it to move those veterans? It's definitely slowed their rebuild. So here we go for year 4. We're going to have a count. It's like 4/1. It's year 4 of the Jazz rebuild, but it's year 1 for Austin Ainge. So can they get a good player by giving someone some cap relief? If one thing is true, and I think it is, the second Abram made it harder to get value for John Collins. Not because of his talent, because of his contract. Ditto for Colin Sexton. Not because of his talent, because of his contract. Now, can they give one of these teams some relief by taking on a contract? And not a terrible contract to get a draft pick, although that may be the move. We've seen the franchise make that move before. Clubs made that move under multiple owners and multiple GMs. But actually bring somebody on who can play, but hey, they just can't afford to pay him. They need relief. Looking at you, Boston. What's next? Or has Boston made all their moves? You know, a lot of these deals do get made between people that have relationships and a certain amount of trust. So keep your eye on Boston, unless they're all done. The Jazz will be all done Friday night. The Summer League will wrap up, so we got 2 more games to watch there. The other news, the NBA, and are they going to expand? And the answer is, yeah, probably. But, man, they're just not making money off local TV. They're making it all off the network TV. Well, they have to share the network TV with these 2 teams. Expansion isn't quite as attractive a proposition. Yeah, you get a big check now, but you pay for it every year. You get a little less money every year. So when the commissioner says there's nothing decided, that's because they're trying to make sure they make as much money as possible. Never get between a billionaire and their money. That's the quickest way for a commissioner to lose their job. Got 32 billionaires. Try to keep them all happy. Let them fight amongst themselves. Stay above the fray. Make them money. Lately, they haven't been fighting amongst themselves. I don't know if you've seen the quotes out this morning, but Bill Belichick is firing up at Robert Kraft. What a soap opera. Those guys really got on each other's nerves at the end. For all that winning, you think there'd be a lot of joy, they'd be happy? All those Super Bowls, they seem like they're all miserable. You know, like how many Super Bowls would it take to make you happy?
1?
They got 6.
I know, but
and they're taking shots at each other. I took a real risk when I hired Bill Belichick, and Belichick fires back. I took a real risk when I took the Patriots job. They never won anything. Yeah. And meanwhile, the Patriots are over there. I mean, he'd been in Cleveland. He even fired. Sure, he's a good coordinator, but I was taking a real risk. Yeah, you both took a risk, and it paid off. You've all made a ton of money.
I think
you won 6 Super Bowls, and you're all miserable, and you hate each other, and you hate your lives. I don't get it myself. It seems like you ought to be on top of the world, but whatever. You do you.
You should be, but I think each of them wants to claim I'm the guy.
And yet you can look at organizations and say, if you don't have the owner, the GM, the coach, and the quarterback. You can't go 2 for 4.
No,
you have to go 4 for 4. These quarterback rankings came out, and it's because we were talking about it yesterday. Why are all these quotes all of a sudden popping up? And it's because there was a story and anonymous executives and ranked the top 10 quarterbacks. ESPN.com is doing a whole series on them. They did wide receivers today. They'll go through all the position groups. Looking for content in July when everything is slow. And you look at those rankings, and you look at the clubs around the league, and so Herbert, I mean, you can watch him play, right? And you watch him throw it deep out. And if you watch a lot of football, you're like, well, that guy's got an arm, right? And then you look, and he's got some stats, and what he doesn't have is playoff wins. Really, he doesn't have that many playoff appearances. Two games, and he's lost them both. But before you grade him too harshly, and before it just comes down to how many trophies you have and how many playoff wins you have, does he have the owner? No. Does he have the GM? Maybe, sometimes, probably not. Has he had the coach? No, not until Harbaugh showed up. But now that he has Harbaugh, yes. And the thing is, Harbaugh's going to act like the GM and get what he wants until he wears people out. So now, if they don't have 4 of 4, they might have 3 of 4, and the guy who doesn't know what he's doing has finally done the right thing and is out of the way, which his history, because I followed that team, he does about once a decade. So this is it. This is a sweet spot. If Justin Herbert's got to do it this year, next year, you got to do it. Harbaugh probably runs his course year 4 or 5. Here's your window. Harbaugh did get the Niners to the Super Bowl and then ran its course. And he lasted at Michigan a little longer. College is a little different beast. He was at Stanford 4 years. So this is it. It's on right now if you're really going to be that guy.
It is. But going back to your point about the Patriots, you have to have that all lined up. And I think with them bickering back and forth there's ego involved. Like they all think that they were the reason. But to your point, you have to have all of those ducks in a row, and you had it. And
ask good coaches about working for bad owners.
Well, yeah.
I mean, ownership matters. Look what just happened with the Commanders. They got a new owner. They drafted a quarterback. Apparently, the owner hired a good GM, right?
Yeah, Adam Peters, who came from the Niners.
We always heard the owner was bad.
Well, he was bad.
And he was bad.
Yeah.
And the quarterback came in and lit it up and was obviously good. You can see, how did Washington go from being a joke for 25 years to suddenly, it all lines up?
Because Dan Snyder's not charging his own team to use the plane. That'll tell you.
Well, billionaires always do business with themselves.
I know.
They always have multiple companies,
But having the team pay.
Do you drive up and down? Do you use the Parkway yet?
Which part?
Well, where you live down there in Saratoga when you come to the Mountain View Express.
It's not open yet.
The corridor. That section of the corridor isn't, so you don't get on the section that is, right? Yeah. So if you're on the section that is and you see that big red roof over there and think that building is huge, like Deloitte did business with himself when he built that.
And
he had a company building houses and apartments, condos down there.
Yeah, they do business with themselves, but he got his own way. He
did get in his own way.
He hamstrung his own franchise.
100%.
And he thought he had it all figured out.
Well, he made money, that part. He just didn't figure out the winning part, and he certainly didn't figure out the PR part, and he apparently didn't figure out how to be a normal person and interact with other normal people part.
Yeah.
But aside from that, he made money.
Yes, he did. So, I don't know. Your point is well taken that for like Harbaugh and Herbert, okay, it's setting up here. Now, are they able to get it done? It'll be interesting because you have to have all that square up. I think what the Eagles have right now is they do have good owner, good GM. Head coach is questionable to me because he's been on the hot seat as recently as last year.
Yeah, but
they have the quarterback.
He was on the hot seat, but it always felt like an overreaction. It felt like because you got to do the hot take, TV, radio, web stuff, right? He can't just have made a misstep. He has to be a disaster.
Sure.
He's got to wear that 5-game losing streak when they were 10-1 because he did it, right? But just because you did something wrong doesn't mean you're a disaster. It doesn't mean you can't adjust the plan and do it right. So they had another good season going last year, and did it fall apart? No,
they won it all. Yeah.
And we still don't know everything, all the internal dynamics of what happened in the locker room. Was it his fault? Was it just he didn't react to a small thing and it became a big thing? Many things can be true at once. And if we get Pablo Mastroianni on Friday, I mean, he could do the whole segment, the deep dive, all the things that impact the team, impact the coach, some of that you control and some you don't. I mean, look at Chicho. As the details leak out on that, 2 non-disclosure agreements and another relationship. Yeah, there's stuff coaches don't control. You don't get to control that. But it often falls on the coach or the GM. But line those things up, and you have a chance to minimize those things. And the Bears don't have those things lined up. Honestly, the franchises right now in the NFL that have that have been handed down through the generations, you're not getting hired, so we don't refer to it as nepotism, but it's kind of the same thing. I mean, the Steelers, the Giants, the Bears. I mean, the Steelers have had a better run, but it's been a little rocky lately, a little less success than they're used to. And those clubs have all been handed down. For that matter, and we're going to see more of that. They're worth so much. I mean, the Chargers have been handed down for that matter. The Cardinals have been handed down.
We just watched the Colts do it, literally.
The Colts just
2 months.
did it. The Cowboys are going to do it one day.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly Jerry's son is positioned to run that team.
Well, all of his kids have different roles. But Steven in particular is going to take it over.
We saw it with the Saints also. So on down the line. All right, DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. When we come back, everything you missed in this show next, Stay with us.
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson.
Cody's had back-to-back 20-point games. He just looks more aggressive, and he's got to get stronger still. It's going to be the thing for Cody for a while, but he just looks more aggressive. He looks like he's playing with some direction, which I think is important.
People could probably identify this. Did you ever play in a sport up a couple of levels?
Mm-hmm.
Like you pick up basketball game when you were 10, but you were playing
with
against
my older brother's
14-year-olds.
friends.
Yeah. Like, you're so intimidated by it, and I'm not saying Cody Williams is intimidated, but like, it's new, and the people are big, and you're just a wallflower, right? And the only thing you do is what others allow you to do, and then try to play hard on defense. I felt like that was Cody Williams' rookie season. So if he's coming in and throwing his weight around, being commanding, being like, I'm here, I'm aggressive, I'm better than you, I'm tougher than you. That's what that guy needs. It's like that's the switch that needed to flip. He needs to go out there and have a presence.
Hear Jake Scott and Ben Anderson every day from 10 to noon on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
DJ PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. It's time to get you 9 o'clock Slackers up to date. Brought to you by Trajan Wealth. Call Trajan Wealth today, your local trusted financial fiduciary, 801-899-7600, or visit the website at TrajanWealth.com. We began our tour of NFL divisions. Not quite like the spring football tour, but camps are opening, and I know a lot of you have your favorite teams. I've seen how much football you watch on Sundays. Holy cow. So we went to the NFC North today and got a lowdown on what was an excellent division in football a year ago, with the Packers winning 11 times and finishing third behind the 14-win Vikings and the 15-win Lions. And can that possibly be repeated? I'm talking to Peter Bukowski, host of Locked On Packers and Locked On Sports Today. He says no. Detroit's had some losses. Minnesota's going with a second-year quarterback who sat out his rookie year and didn't play a lick. How could this possibly happen again? And to our conversation in the last segment about the Bears and how dysfunctional are they. They're going to improve on that 5-win thing. I mean, they got to get better, right? It's got to be 8 or 9 wins this year. But they were 1-5 inside the division. So will it be a good division? Yes. Will it be as glorious as last year? That seems impossible. The one team that looks like it could take a step forward and be relevant is the Packers. I mean, the Bears could take a step forward, but how relevant are they going to be? Not only with these three teams in the division, but Washington looks really good. Philly's obviously defending Super Bowl champs. And the NFC West, until recently, has been the best division in football, or at least in the NFC. So are the Niners or Rams or even the Seahawks. I mean, it is a long hill for the Bears to climb. So it comes down to the Packers. And the interesting thing, and for all of you who play fantasy football, he told us circle Tucker Kraft. 7 touchdowns, 700 yards last year. They've talked about going in more. He's getting a third year in the league now. He made a big step between year 1 and 2. Can he make a bigger step, especially with Jordan Love still maturing as a quarterback? Could that be a dynamic combination? He was talking 10 touchdowns, 850 yards. So even if you're not into the NFC North, if fantasy football is your thing, remember Tucker Kraft at tight end. We'll roll through all the divisions going forward. Yak, you got tomorrow locked down yet? You know what division we're doing tomorrow? Or is that a work in progress?
Tentatively, NFC East is the
PK's division right there. Blood and guts,
now.
world champs, Washington on the way up.
In fact,
all right.
Dallas still is in the NFC East. Will forever make me chuckle.
Yeah, well,
Jerry Jones wanted to play in New York. It's going to happen.
Well, to be fair, that was the thing long before Jerry Jones. They could have been moved out 20 years before Jerry showed up.
I know, but
Jerry's not letting it go.
When they went to this Division 4
Oh, when they went to the 4 teams.
And he was like, oh, no. We ain't leaving the East.
No. And he had the Cardinals. Those guys. And honestly, nobody else in that division wanted them gone either. They're a payday, even if they're long-term mediocre. The other NFL news, the Jets. See, when you're not paying your quarterback big money, you can start handing out contracts to other guys. Garrett Wilson got his $120 million yesterday, and Sauce Gardner gets $120 million today. So there you go. 4-year deal for the Jets corner. And Terry McLaurin in Washington is unhappy. He's 29 years old. He's had 5 straight 1,000-yard seasons. He wants his payday, and that hasn't come yet. And he's a really good receiver. And pairing him with Jaden Daniels, you should have a few more good years there. but you can't overpay, and then it hurts you somewhere else on the roster. So we'll see if that all shakes out. And the Chiefs have lost 2 Super Bowls because the O-line wasn't good enough. Just gave Trey Smith $94 million, $70 guaranteed, highest paid interior offensive lineman in NFL history. So there you go. The Chiefs build up that offensive line, because if you do that, you got a great chance to be back in the Super Bowl again. If you don't do that, man, it does seem like time for someone else to break through, doesn't it? They have won so many division titles in a row, 9. They've been to so many AFC title games in a row. What is it, 6 now? Unbelievable. 7. 6 or 7, Yak. Look that up. Double check me on that. It's just been dominance for the Chiefs. Just out of control. They won 3 Super Bowls. They lost 2, and I think they lost 2 AFC title games, so it's going to be 7. 7 years in a row in the AFC title game for the Chiefs. The baseball news, we had the All-Star game. It was a great idea. It seems to have outlived its usefulness, and yet it remains popular. A show at a time that we're short on shows.
We shortchanged them, by the way.
What is it?
9.
9 straight AFC championship games?
According to the Google machine, it says they have won 9 straight.
No, 9 straight divisions.
Oh, sorry, division titles.
Yeah,
yes.
It's 9 straight divisions, 7 straight AFC title games.
Yes, you are correct. It says
okay,
right there.
There it is.
There you go. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Dominance.
We're short on shows in the summer, and the All-Star Game is a show, and it's one people like. And you can hate the Home Run Derby, but it turns out 5 million people watched it. A good college football game is 4 million. So any event that draws 5 million people, you can complain all you want. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's the NBA, if it's the WNBA. It doesn't matter if it's whatever soccer tournament of the summer it is. It doesn't matter if it's Home Run Derby, which isn't really a thing and it's kind of become a thing. If 5 million people watch it, it's not going away. Someone will televise it, and they will make money off it. Honestly, they're making money off shows that have a lot fewer people than that. So 5 million is the gold standard. But from a baseball perspective, it was a 6-6 tie, and they went to a swing-off, which a lot of you are making swingers jokes, so keep tweeting those at us because you're the first one who's thought of it. Nobody else has. Don't worry about it. And so they basically had a little mini home run derby to decide a winner, and the reason is, has the game outlived its usefulness? Because now there's so many pitching injuries. And nobody really wants their guys throwing extra innings. So end that thing at 9. We're not going 10, 11, 12, or whatever. End it, even if it's 6-6. Goes against everything baseball is supposed to be. But as a corporate event and a TV show, people will pay big money to get tickets. They'll pay bigger money to be in the luxury suites, and millions of people watch it on TV, so it's not going anywhere. Period. End of story. Are the Rays going to be in the news now every day until they get that new stadium built? They allegedly have a new owner on the way. They've been okayed to play in a minor league stadium. Tropicana Field got destroyed by a hurricane going through there. The commissioner said when they get a new ballpark, then expansion can proceed. And so sometime around 2030, baseball to Utah, if we're lucky. But first, Tampa Bay in the postseason in a 10,000-seat stadium. The alternative was to go to Miami or go to Atlanta and then try to fill a 40,000-seat stadium in a town where nobody cares about your team. That didn't seem like a good idea either, so they're going to play in the minor league park in the postseason. Best option in a series of bad options. Get ready for Major League Baseball players in the Olympics. I find this interesting on multiple levels. 2028 LA Olympics. Tony Clark, union head, MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred said they're looking at it. So, forget the July All-Star game. We'll have an All-Star break in August for the Olympics. It'll be longer. It'll be a different point in the season. But the marketing possibilities are massive. There's a chance to grow the game, cash in. They really just can't pass. And South Korea will have a good team. Japan will have a good team. The U.S. will have a good team. Mexico will have a good team. Cuba will have a good team. I mean, just go on down the line. It's going to be weird. It's going to be a big old pause. If you've lived in a Major League Baseball city and then not, it's night and day. Baseball games fill so much time. And when you don't have it, you really notice it. Now, we haven't had it here, so it's kind of normal. When/if we get baseball here in 2030, man, the calendar gets different. Instead of a soccer game one night and a summer league game another night, it's like, what do you have Friday night? What do you have Saturday during the day? Saturday night, Sunday during the day, Sunday night. All the three of those windows get filled by Major League Baseball. The sports calendar gets a whole lot busier. And, man, they've never had a layoff like this other places. The Yankee fans have never gone through this. How long did they have to shut this thing down for? 10 days? 2 weeks? Let's see how they work it out.
The Olympiad usually goes, what, 20
16,
days?
17 days. So it starts on a Friday and it ends on a Sunday.
And they usually start the baseball early with it before even the opening ceremony. So, yeah, you're probably having to shut down for a week and a half.
The smallest tournament they could do would be 8 teams, which would be 5 games if you did 3 round robin and then knockout, semis and finals off that
You're
group
still
play.
a week and a half at least, probably. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't think they'll do 8. It'll probably be 12 or 16. Too much money to pass it up, though. Got to make the game more popular globally because there is so much money to be made. And that's why they're taking games to Mexico. That's why they're taking games to Japan. They're taking Major League games to South Korea. They've got the game in London every year now. And you can say, those countries aren't loving it. Yeah, well, there's enough expats. There's enough Americans abroad who will go sell out the stadium. So they'll help you make money in the short run while you grow the game in the long run. It seems like it's only a matter of time before we see baseball games in Italy, Germany. There's plenty of Americans abroad in those countries. Spain. Major League Baseball from Barcelona. They'll be shipping them out. And finally, the Utah Mammoth re-up forward Michael Carcone on a 1-year, $775,000 deal. Well, during the exit interviews, he thought he was gone. He talked to the coach. He didn't think it would work out, and yet it worked out. He's 7 goals, 12 assists, so fairly modest numbers there, but 1 year, $775 million. He's 29 years old. He's still in the NHL. That's a win for Michael Carcone right there. All right, DJ and PK. Other things you missed, we had Scotty G on this morning talking about all the lawsuits swirling around Utah State. Football media days, not a lot known about the football. Basically, Broncos brought down the Iron Curtain. No news. Because he'll lose. If anyone starts talking guys up, he'll lose them. They'll be coming for you. There's Power 4 teams who need players. So put the wraps on him. And he's had the wraps on him. So going into media days. Now, once we get into fall camp, maybe we'll start to hear a little more and know a little more. But right now, you got a lot of anonymous guys. Scotty said 87 new players. Bring back the offensive captain, bring back the defensive captain, and everybody else is new. That's basically what it comes down to. Scotty could name 2 guys, Bryson Barnes, Ike Larson. He didn't drop any other names. It's a mystery even to him. They do have lawsuits to settle, though. The Pac-12 and Mountain West failed to reach a settlement agreement despite mediation efforts. They're fighting over $55 million in poaching fees that the Pac-12 doesn't want to pay and the Mountain West wants to collect. And $55 million is a lot of money. So they will continue to battle over that. We'll see if it actually goes to court and if there's discovery and depositions and if all the dirt gets aired. Plus, Utah State's still working on lawsuits with the former football coach, the former interim AD, and the former assistant AD. So at a time when they need to raise money just to catch up and compete with San Diego State and Boise State and Oregon State and Washington State, they are instead possibly fighting a little rearguard action here. So it'll be interesting to see how they get out of this and how creative they get. All right, DJ and PK, that is what we've been talking about. Brian Taylor, wherever you get your podcast, talking about the Open Championship. Great story out there about Rory McIlroy. Recruited to play college golf at East Tennessee State, and he actually signed, and they still have a copy of it. And, of course, he never showed up and never enrolled because he ended up turning pro because – at 13, it was a good idea to recruit him. At 15, it was a good idea to sign him. And at 17, yeah, he's not going to play college golf. He's just way too good. Straight to the pros with this guy. Good story. Brian and I talked about that. So wherever you get your podcasts, Pete Bukowski on the NFL, Brian Taylor on the Open Championship, and Scotty G on the Mountain West and Utah State. DJ PK, your feedback next. Tons of you talking BYU quarterback. 3 QBs. What should you do? How will this play out? What would you advise Aaron Roderick? And you know he's dying to get your advice. So we'll get to that next. Stay with us.
And it's all over almost here.
Don't go nowhere.
DJ PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. Yesterday, the big topic was BYU quarterbacks, and I got to say, you be on social media. Never doubt. And you guys always come down here and talk quarterbacks. That's what the people want to talk about. I mean, it's really clear on social media, and everybody's gotten an opinion. Crusty Rusty, hey, if you look at Retzlaff's numbers, it's obvious he was rah-rah motivator guy with good players around him. Kalani needs to pick the best leader, not necessarily the most skilled quarterback, to elevate all the players to the level of winning. And fewer turnovers equals more wins. So who doesn't turn the ball over in his leadership skills? A little more than leadership. You know, Retzlaff's passing numbers don't take into account some of the big runs he turned in. So how much can you get running the ball out of each of these three quarterbacks? Mike says, I think you have the top two guys out of fall camp every other quarter versus Portland State and then go from there into Stanford. Portland State is a shakedown cruise. Makes a lot of sense to both PK and to me, Mike. Totally get it. I don't like these money games as openers, but man, when you have a quarterback battle like this, it is very useful because the quarterbacks – you can't put in a game situation in practice. It's impossible. They know they're not going to get hit. I think most plays, and this goes back to the interview we did with the in our NFL preview, the NFC North preview with Peter Bukowski. You know, the thing in Chicago with Caleb Williams, the number one reason I doubt him, not doubt his floor. I think his NFL floor is okay, but I just think his ceiling's limited. And the number one reason I think that is that as a quarterback, you got to make plays on time, and you got to be accurate. Your back foot has to hit the ground, and the ball has to come out, and you got to throw it to the receiver so it hits them in stride so they have a chance to get yards after catch. You throw it above their head, and they break stride, and they're going to get hit, and they open up their ribs. Yikes! You throw it down at their ankles, they got to leave their feet to catch the ball, the play's over. You want them to catch it, and you want them to keep running. You fans can all see a play in the second half against USC, midfield, crossing pattern, missed tackle, another missed tackle, long touchdown run. You want the yards after catch. And if they're not getting hit, you don't get to see how the chaotic plays develop. And a quarterback's ability to make a play in chaos is really, really important. Caleb Williams tries to live there. He's very good at that, but especially in NFL, you can't do that every set of downs. You got to run the system, and you got to give other people a chance to make plays. And Caleb Williams holds the ball trying to make a big play and frustrates wide receivers, and that's why they want another quarterback. And the Cougar coaches aren't going to know what they have at quarterback for real, unless it's a blowout. If this competition is a rout, if two guys are throwing picks and one guy's throwing touchdown passes, then A-Rod's going to know long before the Portland State game arrives. But if it's competitive, and for a lot of reasons it looks on the surface like it should be, I can get why the coaches go in thinking, I think this is guy 1, I think this is guy 2, I think this is guy 3, but we got to double check this with the lights on and the quarterback can get hit. Because you might find out, there's chaos, and quarterback A turns the ball over. And there's chaos, and quarterback B makes a big play. Runs for 20 or 30 yards, whatever he did against Oklahoma State on that drive. So I think you're onto something, Mike. Cruz says, give me whatever guy is going to have moxie and swagger. If we're living and dying with this guy, I want to be because he isn't afraid to try and make a play. Whoever has the Zach Wilson, Jake Retzlaff, put the ball in the tight windows, let's go win mentality. Well, that's from a Cougar fan. Because if it was from a Ute fan, guess which quarterback would be used right there? It'd be Cam Rising. Moxie and swagger, as PK said. But I do get your point there, crew. And that moxie swagger thing, you can see that in practice. Now, chaos can help reveal it too. So maybe you need the chaos of a game. But you can see that in practice. Guys making throws into windows the other guys aren't willing to do and completing them. And they film everything and they chart everything. And A-Rod sees it and he can go look at it again. And if Kalani's overwatching the defense, A-Rod's like, you got to see this. Like you can find in practice. You can find a lot of that in practice. You might find a little more if you let him have the Portland State game. Josh, it can ruin a young guy to start him too early. My hope is that Bourget starts with the talent that Bear has. I think we'll see him in Hillstead early on, but let's ease him into the program because a lot of promising young quarterbacks get ruined by early action. Josh, all I can say is people who know way more football than me are all over the board on this. Some quarterbacks come out and start as rookies. Some sit 1 year, and we know that Jordan Love and Aaron Rodgers sat 3. So what's the right answer? You put John Elway in, and he turns into John Elway. He didn't get ruined. And if something gets ruined, were they just not good enough? If they sat for 2 years, would they just have been ruined in their 3rd year? But to your point, there are guys who have been brought along slowly, and it's paid off. So it'll just be up to A-Rod to have gut instinct and talk to these guys and watch film with them, and he'll do all the stuff we don't get to do and decide off that. Stan's already picked his winning horse. He's already looked at that. He's gone to the window, and he has placed his bet. Bear, Bachmeier, or bust? Bear's your guy. You will ride and win or lose with Bear. Rodgers says go with the freshman. If he's got what it takes, a loss or two won't kill them. I buy that. I totally buy that. They've had 3 double-digit win seasons in 5 years. Man, if you're on the hot seat, I get where you wouldn't want to risk a couple early losses. But they're not on the hot seat. And in this era, Ohio State lost twice and got in the playoff and won it all. So a couple losses doesn't kill you. I think there's a lot of truth to that, Roger. Lion, I said, go the safe route. If you're not letting Taysom take the reins, you're not going to let Bear do it either. Okay, well, Taysom was a different coaching staff, though. That was pre-Kalani. By the time Kalani got there, Taysom had 1 year of eligibility left. Sterling says they should play the best man for the job. That's it. Nothing else matters. Can't argue with that, Sterling. But which one is it? All right, Jake and Ben coming up next. DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. Stay with us.